All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Mac Yak, episode number 57 for January 30th. So say hello, everybody.
Hello,
I
everybody.
knew
Yo,
one person was
what's
going
up?
to say that, so I had to say it.
Joe's Crab Shack. Sorry.
Oh, so we got a pretty good episode going on tonight, guys. Got a bunch of topics, so I'm pretty sure we're going to go overtime again because we went overtime last week with only 4 topics, and now we have 6.
Hey, we do have Super Bowl weekend, so overtime's not a bad thing if you're a Chiefs.
Go sport ball.
I don't even watch football, so
I don't watch soccer.
Hey! Go Chiefs.
that's just like Jay doesn't watch Star Trek or Star Wars, and he calls them the wrong thing, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
basically.
All right.
So anyway, guys,
Well, hold on a second, Grudy.
I'd like
hold
to-
on. We're warming up there, man. He's getting like all antsy and everything, ain't he?
He's like, I want to pause and eat my pizza. Well, too
Yeah,
bad.
that's right.
Not gonna happen.
Well, I gotta make the pizza first.
See, guys, what we have to deal with every week with Grudy. This is what we have to deal with. So, anyways, yes, we do have a special guest on tonight. So I'm going to throw it over to Grudy and let him introduce our guest tonight.
Yeah. What? Why now, Jess?
Ah,
1 second.
all right. So,
See, here at MacYak, we provide our guests with quality introductions, as you can see.
Yeah, like teaching dog tricks while we're doing a live show.
Sounds just like one of your videos.
You're in the kitchen. You can't hardly blame her.
yeah.
So anyway, guys, I'd like to introduce Scott Schrodinger. Schrodinger.
That's close enough.
Lord knows
He didn't go the way we thought he was
Sorry,
going to
I'm a
go.
little mixed up in the head right now.
That's
And his
fine.
one and only appearance on the channel now. Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, Scott is from the channel Techno Eclipse, and it is an incredible channel. I'm actually surprised it's not already gotten more subs than me. And it's something you guys really just have to go and watch. It's excellent video quality and production quality.
And great content too.
So welcome.
So what we're
Scott.
saying is it's way
Thank you.
better than Grudy's,
Yeah, basically.
At least he has a tripod, right?
Hold on, I rate
Oh.
my video quality based upon the number of times the host bleeds on their equipment.
Yes. Well, I just
Well,
put a
then in
link to
that
Scott's
case, I have
channel
a
in the
very
chat.
high rated channel.
According to Rocky, that is.
Well, thank you.
So, Scott, tell us a little bit about your channel and everything.
Well, my channel used to be about a lot of Mac stuff, and I kind of got annoyed with all the Mac stuff. So I guess I sort of moved into, I don't even know what it is now. I guess I
Wait,
just make
why
stuff.
did we invite this guy?
No,
I was trying to think about what it was about, but I can't really like put a name on it. I guess it would be like buy less stuff tech channel. It's how I would describe it, if that makes any sense. I don't
think
know.
you cornered the market there.
Yeah, that's good. Nobody's gonna watch the videos because they're all gonna not be buying anything.
Here's the new Mac Pro. Don't buy it. Here's the new iPhone. Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
that sounds like some of the other tech reviewers I've seen out there,
Well, it's for different reasons. It's not for clickbait. It's because they just don't need it.
Well, you could be like iJustine and say, oh, I'm going to go buy this latest thing because it's a different shade of black.
It's pink.
Oh my, yeah. Actually, in my next video, I looked up the differences between the iPhone 10s Max and the iPhone
Yeah.
11, and there were so few differences that one of them was that it comes in a matte color or a matte finish.
So now my comment I just made there is going to make sure that we never get iJustine on our show. So
Well, she'll come. You just can't be
Yeah.
hosting.
I think I already insured that when I started hating on her dogs.
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I've never even watched that person, so I don't know what you guys are talking
Oh, you should have watched her unbox her new Mac Pro with her two displays
I heard
and
about it.
two
Let's go back
stands.
to Scott
So
hating on that
anyways,
for a second.
all right. So anything else there, Scott, or
No, I don't know. I guess I just want people to. I've been talking a lot about paying off people's debt and to stop buying
Yes.
products.
I watched your video on the on not buying iPhones on a payment plan.
Oh,
Which I thought
Yeah.
was very interesting, where you're basically telling people that cycle of, grab another phone, and then just always kind of deferring that debt into your ongoing bills, which I found very interesting.
Oh, well, thank you.
He
Yeah, that's
also,
why I still use. I don't know. It's up there, but I have a broken iPhone SE screen. With a broken screen, I mean, still use because I refuse to buy a new phone.
Scott also has a video on how to set up good studio lighting. We've all watched it, so soon all our
Of
videos
course I
will look
followed that.
exactly like
Yeah,
this.
look, everyone's
Wait
looks
till you see
great.
on my next video.
Hey, I don't think my lighting's too bad, so hey.
Your lighting sucks, bro.
Well, yours sucks even worse because guess what? All we see is a big S on you.
At least I'll admit it.
You just feel the love.
I'm eating dinner, by the way. My wife was kind enough to cook me up some food, so
Yeah.
I'm eating that now.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and jump.
Didn't she also make the background?
Yes,
Yeah.
she did. She does all the
Yeah.
background. So we got to. You know what? We actually need to put a link to her webpage there or her company, Jay. So remind me to do that.
Absolutely.
We should.
Yes. So remind me to do that. And Miss Aliki, if you could throw your link into the chat there to let everybody know right now, that would work too. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and go to our first topic of the evening. This one came up. We were talking about this a couple days ago about some of our favorite Apple advertisements, video or print. And I think my personal favorite ads were the Windows versus PC ones. I love those commercials.
They were good.
Those were the
Those
best
were
ones for me personally. I think the newer ones they've come out with today, I see them on TV and I'm like, oh, another iPhone commercial. Nah, whatever. Because all they do is they tout the camera. They tout the camera. They can do this. Oh, we shot this whole video on the iPhone. I said, but you don't.
We now have a phone
Yeah,
with
but they don't sit there.
Well, that's the only difference between the darn
Well,
models.
but they
that's
sit
why.
there and they don't sit there and say, well, we use Final Cut Pro to edit out the video because there's no way you're editing all.
Stabilize
Yeah,
it.
there's no way you're editing all that stuff
know,
on the
that's
iPhone. I'm sorry.
Well, I think we're also kind of getting oversaturated with advertisements because it used to be when an Apple ad came out, there was like one or two versions of that ad, and it was for one product, like the iMac or the iBook, because Apple was too poor to pay for advertising costs for all these different channels and all these different products and everything. So I remember like when one of these ads would come out, it would be this whole campaign. There'd be a few different variations of it, and that was it. Like that's all you got. You got an iMac ad, and then 6 months later you got an iBook ad or something. And it was exciting to see them because it was like that was it. Now it's like you said, just the same exact.
Yeah, but
I think I was surprised when they did a MacBook Air commercial like a few months or years ago, and I'm like, oh, they're actually doing Apple Macintosh commercials.
yeah, I
again.
don't think I've seen a MacBook Pro or anything MacBook.
Well, I'm one of those cable cutters, so I haven't watched TV in years.
Well, the same thing here, yeah.
Well, if
so.
you watch Hulu, you get ads, so you'll see it. So
I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm with
I
you.
present them to other people now, but I don't do it.
That's a position to be in.
So what about let's see, Steve, what's your favorite ad of all time from Apple?
Well, my favorite ads go back. Some of the more modern ones I consider are like the ones for the iMac G3 with Jeff Goldblum. I think those were fun. They were very creative. I of course like the 1984 ad. That's a classic one. The one I like about the two businessmen at like 45,000 feet or whatever making the first network with their PowerBooks was an interesting one. I like a lot of the old ones. The Toasted Bunnies one, with the Intel guy dancing and he's in the clean suit and he's on fire. I don't know, just a lot of those classic
I don't
ones.
know
like.
any of those ads.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
well.
We maybe didn't get them out here.
No, I mean, and then the one I did like, there's a 12-inch and 17-inch PowerBook commercial that was okay, and the other one is the iMac G4 one where the guy's walking past the window and sticks his tongue out and the iMac ejects its CD drive. So those are some that come to mind. Not really too fond of anything of the the recent ones. I mean, some of them are okay, but pretty much after, I'd say the last advertisement that I really liked was the 2006 Intel iMac one, where they made a big deal out of the Intel processor and the iMac, and then after that, I was like, okay. So it's kind of where I stopped paying attention.
All right. How about you there, Grudy?
Yeah, I like the Toasted Bunnies one. The Pentium 2 Snell one, which came out around the same time.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of really good ads that I've liked in the past that I've actually just kind of discovered just recently, and there's just a lot of them. I too like the iMac G4 one with the tongue sticking out. I mean, that's just an iconic one when you think about it, because it does look like it's sticking its tongue out. And I've always been a big fan of the iPod commercial silhouette ones. So, and the Power Mac G5 one, when the guy gets blown out in the house.
Hey, that
I
was
remember
mine.
that one.
I love
Which
that
one's
one.
that?
That was a good one.
Oh, where he gets blown by the.
It's like it will blow
Oh,
you
yeah,
away
yeah.
or something.
Well, the one with the Power Mac G4 with the tanks around it in the print ads were pretty good too.
Yeah,
Oh,
they did,
yeah,
they
I
did a
love that
video
one,
of that too.
So what about you, Rocky?
You guys are stealing all my ad ideas.
Well, I'm going to be quite simple because, to be honest, about the time that they started doing the U2 stuff and all those, let's throw paint and all those cliche ads that they started doing in the Intel era and newer, I don't like them. They're all glaze over ads. It's like a perfume ad except for a Mac. And I'm just not, it doesn't appeal to me. Anything before that, I was all, I was all into it. I've seen quite a few of them, but even the 90s ads were actually really good. They were a lot of fun to watch if back in the 90s when we all did watch commercials.
Well, we had no choice.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my realm. I'm like, as soon as we hit the Intel, everything turns into this indie throw paint on each other garbage, or somebody's playing some U2 song.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
when those first started, they were creative and interesting. They just kept using the same style until it was kind of boring. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the
like,
first silhouette ads and stuff were cool, but
Well, like Mr. Leakey is saying in the chat, the dancing ad, the silhouette, like you just mentioned, it's been around for years. Apple didn't do it too long, but the whole industry copied it. As a result, it's been around for years.
Yep.
From an ad perspective, it was very effective.
That's a good point.
I've never been a fan either, but
I mean, there was a definite marketing thing going on with that because, up until that point, everyone had black wire on headphones. If you had headphones, you had black wire coming from your headphones. And what that silhouette thing pointed out was the fact that it was white wire coming off those headphones, because that was the one thing that stood out on top of the silhouette. And that created a coolness. It was selling that this is a cool thing. I mean, they weren't there saying, I know they did say it, okay, you can keep 1,000 songs in your pocket or something like that. That might have been the quick catchphrase. But eventually, they didn't say anything. They would say nothing at all. All you would see was the person dancing, was the song playing. You instantly recognized we were talking about an Apple product, we were talking about an iPod, and it was selling the emotional connection. It was making it cool. It wasn't sitting there going, oh, the technology we've got in this is all new. It's the newest technology we've got here. We've got, this, we've got that, battery life is this or whatever. None of that, just emotional. That was all.
yeah, they didn't have to say anything. They put the Apple logo on the end of it. That's all they had to say, because you knew what it was about.
You knew who they were, yeah.
My grandma knew what it was about.
Though, you know what? That reminds me of actually my favorite ad, and it sparked off of, if I remember correctly, it was the Apple was doing a spoof between the Zoom and the iPod, and basically it sparked off of, I think somebody made like an indie little pretend, mocking ad. Versus where, like, if Microsoft were to take and make an iPod commercial or whatever, what they would do, and the box and redesigning the box. And I think Apple took that same design and created a commercial that they mass produced on TV where they were poking fun at all the advertisements and garbage that were tossed onto the the Microsoft box for everything to
I think
advertise
that
every
was just a
stupid feature.
spoof on.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
Apple
Yeah,
made
I've
a
seen the
little
video,
commercial
but I think
on
it was just a spoof. It wasn't by Apple.
Well, no, there was an Apple one though. There was an Apple one that was similar that they put on TV. It wasn't
Huh.
exactly the same ad.
I
It was a
know
little bit of a
Microsoft made a
hybrid.
spoof of themselves doing that.
Yeah.
That may be what you're
Oh,
thinking of.
okay.
Because
So I-
Microsoft officially produced a spoof poking fun at themselves. So that
Okay.
may be
That's
what you're
backwards.
thinking of.
Thank you for the
Close
correction.
though. Close.
Yeah, there you go. It's close.
All right, and Jay, I think you still did you say anything on yours favorites or?
No, you skipped me just because I'm
That's
blue,
right.
but that's all right.
He likes the Indigo iMac commercial. That's what he was saying.
No, I do not.
Nice and blue.
No, I like the G5 one of the G5 blowing a hole inside the house. That was really awesome. The G4 with the tanks, of course, but most recently, and this may have already been 2 years ago. I completely lost track of time. The WWDC ad where the guy unplugs the server room. Remember that
Oh
one?
yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a while ago.
There's a new hire in the data center from Apple. He sets up his desk and he has this little fountain for his desk, so he unplugs something and the whole data center goes down and the world goes into chaos. That's a really cool ad. Even though it technically wasn't an ad, it became an ad because I know they aired it on TV. But that I think was really well done. Like you had people crying on the street, like, "Oh, do you want to see my selfie?" And there were no cameras and no servers to transmit those selfies. And I think that one was really well done. But apart from that, I don't really recall anything. Well, the Mac and PC, it was funny. It wasn't brilliant, especially if you fast forward to today, where they're doing all of the things they made fun of that PCs did.
That's
You know,
true.
you need to type in your password 600 times a day to get stuff done, and so it was funny, but not that memorable. And that's about it. That's really all I recall. Like I said, I don't watch TV anymore or cable anymore, so I don't know what kind of ads are out there. It's probably the rotating MacBook Pros showing off how thin it is and how bright the screen is. It's nothing that requires too much intelligence.
I think
probably.
the last Mac ad I saw was with the Air, and they had like a blue curtain or a fabric, and it was just like the Mac like wrapped in it, and it was like, what? Like, what is it? Oh, it's a computer, I guess. Okay. I thought this was a commercial for fabric softener, but all right, that's sure.
Well,
Spend your money
It's
on
like a
that, go ahead.
perfume commercial. You don't realize it's for perfume until you get to the end, and you're like, "Was it?"
I remember.
Perfume?
Well, I think that's
Getting-
the way Apple does stuff. You slap an Apple sticker on it, and boom, it's worth a lot of money.
Well, there's a lot of brands out there that have this deeper meaning in their ads that I never get. When I still had TV, especially the Hugo Boss, the aftershave and the cologne and all, you always got a random dude and a random chick frolicking around on the beach in slow motion, and somehow that's about aftershave. Like, okay, to me that's bad advertising. At least with Apple, like Bruce said, you knew it was Apple. Whether you hated Apple or loved them, you knew that was an Apple commercial. So I think historically they've done a good job.
Well, historically, yes, but like I said before, the ads coming out today are blah. It's like, who cares if they shot a whole movie on an iPhone?
Yeah, I can't remember because someone in the chat, people in the chat are mentioning like Super Bowl commercials, and I can't remember the last time Apple did a Super Bowl commercial because I know they came out and said they're too expensive, they don't do them anymore, and they don't have to really advertise that way. And the last one I remember, I think, was when Pepsi was doing that promotion with iTunes where under the cap of a bottle of soda you got a free song. That was at least 10, 15 years ago. So that's the last big advertisement I remember them doing.
Didn't they do? They did the U2 at Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I just don't recall it. So yeah, that could be.
Did they
I
do
just
the
remember
D5
when
at Super Bowl? I don't remember if they did they premiered it there or something.
All I remember is there was a ton of speculation leading up to the 20th anniversary of the Macintosh, and people thought they were going to show the 1984 ad again or something like that, or the revised one with the iPod added in digitally. And I remember watching it because I'm like, oh, they're going to show it, and like I was bored to tears. So.
Did they ever have a TAM commercial? I don't remember that. I know it was in the Mac world, like it was an advertisement in Mac world, but I don't know if they ever had an actual like TV ad for that expensive monstrosity.
So,
but I won't.
I can search that archive. It'll give me a thumbnail, but the video won't be there. What year was the TAM? It was 94.
It was 20th anniversary model, so that would be. It had a.
Oh, it's 20th anniversary of Apple. So 97.
Yeah.
Not the Macintosh. That's right. Sorry, had a brain fart there.
No, you're cool. You remembered it better than I did. I know it had a PowerPC. Like
yeah, they were doing all the Think Different ads there. I don't see. Yeah, that was the Intel Snail ad, the Toasted Bunnies ad.
The Toasted Bunnies.
Oh, they had an introducing Macintosh 20th anniversary Macintosh ad. I don't know if it's an ad or just a video. The archives doesn't have the actual clip of it, but yeah. Interesting.
Huh.
And how about you, Scott? What's your favorite ad?
You guys said a lot of really old ads. I was born in 95, so I'm like, I don't know any of these things.
Jeez, I was in high school.
So I would say for me, since I'm a little bit younger, you guys might not remember this one, but the iPhone 7 ad that had Frankenstein in it. I don't know if you remember that one.
Nope.
It was like a 2.5 minute long ad. That one, like I'm pretty sure I started crying when I watched it first time, which is kind of sad. But that one, I like that one a lot. And then also there's an iPhone 5S ad, I think, where a kid like shoots an entire day with his family at Christmas on his phone and then edits it and then shows on the TV. Those are two that I like. But
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that the first one that they did where they were like, you can shoot a movie on your phone? Wasn't that their first one before they just kind of cookie cuttered that multiple times?
I think it looked like it was, but nowadays they use so many like robotics and locked off shots that like, even if it was shot on an iPhone, there's like millions of dollars worth of gear behind the footage.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just like the lighting and everything can just be made. So, any camera can look pretty
like
decent.
the stabilizing cart they use with the giant boom arm and everything.
Yeah,
that alone is like 20 grand holding an iPhone.
Yeah, it's shot on an iPhone.
Okay, you shot it on an iPhone, but what's behind it?
I found what you were referring to, that Frankenstein ad. It's from 2016. The YouTube video is offline, but the article I linked, they have a thumbnail in it. So I don't recall that one, but yeah.
It was, I don't know if it ran that much or if I saw it on like YouTube, but I liked that one a lot because that was around Christmas time. I think that's when that came out. So
yeah, it looks like a holiday.
There's a screen snap and it looks like it's Christmas.
So Data goes good.
As an advertiser, you can't go wrong with the classic Hallmark moments, family and all that stuff. But I've always thought, or I used to believe, Apple was above that.
Hey, I don't know if you guys
to do original stuff.
If you guys are reading the chat, but Dana goes, "Good Lord, about half my collection is older than this dude." I think Steve's whole collection is older than Scott.
I got a shelf.
That includes
iMac back there in the
that
background.
includes themselves and Grudy as well.
Yeah, I got PRAM batteries older than you.
Just make
older than myself.
Just make sure they're not on a board.
No, they're not anywhere near one.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
All right. So, any other thoughts about the ads and what
Matt
Apple?
Says,
what's the way?
Photos every day ad with the iPhone 5 was his favorite. I'm not familiar with that one.
With that one either.
We didn't ask Bruce.
Oh, that's right, Bruce. Sorry.
Yeah, I just butted in and sort of talked over everyone else anyway. So, we actually don't get much in the way of Apple advertising out here. I mean, a lot of these ads you're talking about, I don't remember seeing. Although I don't remember the ad, I do remember that sort of Frankenstein one. I think that did get some airplay. The most recent Apple Mac ad I think I can recall was probably they advertised the Touch Bar when it came out. The MacBook Pros when they had the Touch Bar.
Yeah.
I they did some sort of like close-up work of, looking at the touch bar and, in their very kind of sort of stark kind of filming method with just, sort of light backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. And they're always shot beautifully. I mean, they look magnificent. They're sort of there's usually very little set in it. They're usually just selling the beauty of the product. I mean, this of course is before we knew all the fun and games that were going to come from the butterfly keyboards, but that's another story. But so that's probably the most recent Macintosh ad I can recall. I mean, we would generally get all of the iPhone sort of new iPhone ads out here, but I mean, these days when you watch them, you can't tell them apart from a Google ad. I mean, everyone's all doing the same style of advertising, so you don't, until you see the Apple logo pop up at the end, you don't know, it could be anyone.
You just reminded me, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Bruce, but when you mentioned the Google ad, you just reminded me, and I think it was like a year or two ago, there was this Google ad, and I don't know what the heck they were trying to sell, but it was like showing a kid, and he was trying to get home, so I guess maybe they're advertising Google Maps or the Google Assistant or whatever, but it's like, the whole commercial is like, it starts with his mom texting him, oh, the dog's not doing so well, and then he ends up stranded at a bus station. And it's like, what the heck is this ad trying to do? Like, make you feel terrible, and you're going to go out and buy a Google phone to make you feel better? Like, what the heck? Who designed this ad? Who approved this? It's like,
that's weird.
It's going to show at midnight somewhere, and some guy's going to jump off a bridge or something. Like, jeez. I just remembered a good ad, though, and that was an iMessage ad that they did for the stickers. When that came out, I think it was iOS 10 or iOS 11. That was a fun little ad that I remember. It was a very, very rare focus on a feature other than a camera on an iPhone advertisement.
Yeah.
Yep. So
okay,
I'm getting complaints about our internet, but
well, that's Miss Aliki's the one complaining, not anyone else.
I know. I haven't skipped a single frame on my playback here.
So she goes, our house is 100 years old. This is as good as it gets.
Reboot.
She's on Ethan.
You know what it is, Miss Aliki? I bet you Jay has you throttled, so he has all the bandwidth.
Oh,
she's been accusing me of that for years. Seriously.
It's probably true.
Confirm or deny.
Cancel her.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Well, but it's way better than Grudy's internet, so hey.
Hey, he lives out in the middle of nowhere. So
no, we don't want to hear that out in the middle of nowhere stuff.
I live in the middle of nowhere, and I have the worst internet of anybody. So
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and transition to our next topic here. This is gonna be a good one because it has to deal with our guest tonight. We're gonna talk about his 2015 MacBook Pro video that he just did. That I kind of had some issues with that video and a video that you did previously that kind of basically it was a 180-degree opposite. So
debate time.
So, I mean, the video you just recently made said, don't buy it. But the video you said previously said buy it, pretty much. I mean, that was the gist of it.
I made a very ominous banner for this.
Yeah. So
wait, which video did I say buy it?
It was the very first one when you first got the 2015. You said, "Oh, this is an awesome machine. It does everything." Then the second video you made, it was like, "Oh, this is not an awesome machine."
Well, how old
blah
was
blah
that
blah.
first video?
Yeah, wait, when was the first video?
I don't
When did I
remember.
make that?
I don't remember.
Well, that's kind of relevant. Like if it was in 2015, of course he's happy.
Because I don't think my stance has ever
Well,
changed.
it was still used. He bought it still used at the time, but he said, "Oh, this is a great used machine." Blah blah blah. So it couldn't have been more than a year old. The video.
Well, how much did I buy it for?
I don't remember.
You didn't put links to the guest channel in the description. Just
I'm not a flip flopper, Carly.
I was gonna look and see, but
It's in the. If you look at the document, it's in there.
Well,
Durr.
Scott
What
can
is this?
refresh
Hold
us
on, hold the phone. Future
of-
No, it's
Mrs.
not.
Techno Eclipse in the chat. What is
What?
this about?
no, it's not.
Well,
What is
that's my
this about?
fiance.
And she even
Not
said
in the
you're such a.
document
She
either.
said
We're
you're a.
being gentle to him. Don't worry.
No.
He'll be fine.
Congratulations.
But
Congratulations,
she called
yes.
you.
Oh, thank
she
you.
called you a flip flopper.
She
Holy
said she
Oh,
likes
get
she
used
likes
to
my
it.
videos.
Head
Get
of
used
the
to it.
curve, man.
The lies are just coming out
So
everywhere.
what we want to know though is why did you say it what you said about one time, and then almost the exact opposite a second time.
For the views, that's all. That's the only reason why I make videos.
Clickbait.
No, seriously.
Well, can I give a little bit of background before
Yeah,
we
go
get
for
into
it.
this?
Go for it.
Because not everybody may have seen either one of these videos.
Thank you,
So
Jay.
the last video was should you buy, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm paraphrasing here. Should you buy a 2015 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro in 2020? And the answer, as far as I recall, was hell no. I don't know the other video that GT is referencing, but he basically covered a few points like, hey, it's overpriced and you're better off buying a 2012 or 13 or
2013 or 20 or late 2013.
But
so that's what the video was about, and what's GT grilling him over, like
Yeah.
relentlessly.
I believe that GT is referring to a video that is. I haven't seen the video. I'm just looking at the title, but it says
Should you buy?
you should only buy this 2015 MacBook Pro in 2019.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's right. No.
um,
But you have to watch those videos to understand what I'm saying.
But it says 10 months ago. Okay. But when I watched that video, it was kind of like it said. So I'm looking at it now. It says using a 2015 MacBook Pro in 2019. So it was 10 months ago.
10 months ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So in 10 months, you changed your mind pretty much.
That's
He's
not
allowed
too
to
bad. At
change
least
his
it's not
mind.
10 weeks.
It's not 10 days.
Right?
Yeah.
So yesterday I loved it. Today, not so much.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Well, I could explain that. Oh, it says 7. This one says 7 months ago that I see. 2015 and 2019.
Well,
I think
you've
Greg
got
can
one
see-
2 weeks ago where it's, I mean, I'm looking at the bookmark
Yeah.
or the
No, yeah.
thumbnail says overrated.
It is.
Now, I'm linking them backwards for anybody that catches this after the
Yeah.
fact. I'm linking the videos backwards, the newest one and then the oldest one in the chat.
But
So,
what I want to talk to you about is what specifically, because I know you said it in the video, but what specifically, I mean, is it just the cost of it?
I guess basically the way I do things is predominantly based on price to performance is how I look at it. So in this, you should only buy this $750 2015 MacBook Pro in 2019 ? Video. That video was basically me saying, stop buying. A lot of people will buy the 2015 MacBook Pro that doesn't have a dedicated graphics card. So the M370X. So if you are going to buy a 2015 MacBook Pro, buy the one with the M370X because the performance gain you get there is significant. And if you're just going to buy the 2015 without the dedicated graphics card, you'd be better off just buying like a 2013 or 2014, well, late 2013 or 2014, in my opinion, because you're getting the same CPU in your 4th gen i7s, but in some cases you actually get a better processor. I mean, it might be by like 3%, but in some cases you can get like a 4960HQ or 4980HQ. I think those are 2013, 2014s. And in the 2015, you will get like a worse one. I can't remember exactly, but it's not like a huge 25% performance degradation, but it is like a loss in performance.
I'm going to actually grab the MacBook I have for my office upstairs and bring it down because I don't know which model it is. I'm sure they cheaped out, but I'm very curious.
Well, I have a 2017 MacBook Pro, so this is what I'm running when I use it. So, but a lot of people sit there and say that the 2017s and 2016, 2017, 2018s suck. And yes, it does have the butterfly keyboard, but I have not had an issue with it yet.
You will.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had it.
Well, they don't suck that bad. They all have Thunderbolt 3, and Thunderbolt 3 is
the
like
16
the best of all time.
Yeah, and the
nobody
16
appreciates it.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, and the 16 and 17 don't have the T2 chip.
exactly.
I will admit, okay, the machine, if you keep the screen closed and you got it hooked up to some external stuff, you're not using the keyboard, it's fine.
I actually
personally, my opinion, though, and I get what you're saying, GT. You said it multiple times because you do take care of your machines. The average person always doesn't. However, personal experience from being a repair person, I can tell you, and working in corporate environment, etc. So I can tell you from experience. Personally, I would never get a Retina 2012, 2013. I'd be sketchy on a 2014 because Jay can tell you those connectors, they range, then they suck. And the Retina goes bad, it's a nightmare.
well,
2015 is highly regarded because it has a very standardized configuration and it's a decent machine overall. It's very reliable.
yeah.
Personal opinion.
And to be honest with you, that's probably the reason why, as Scott says, is why it's probably held its value more than any other laptop. Because it is, like you just said, it's a sturdy machine, and it's probably one of the better ones that they actually came out with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it does not compare to the 2012 machine. That is the pre-Retina. That one is almost bulletproof. Almost bulletproof.
Yeah.
There are some defects on the, integrated graphics, but they are almost bulletproof.
But it's an 8-year-old laptop. Like,
Okay,
we got to move on from the 2012.
With the
oh,
third gen,
Yes, it's
Scott.
an older spec, but
here, hold on.
mine doesn't throttle.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about older machines here. Do you realize that I'm running a 10-year-old Mac Pro here to do this podcast?
Oh, you're one of those guys too. See, I'm trying to kill that
No.
machine too.
Actually, we're all one of those guys.
One of us.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
sorry. he's not gonna
Let me
make
just
the
put
wedding.
it this way. Scott. Unless you're buying us all new machines, we're not changing anytime soon.
Exactly.
Oh no, I would never want anybody to change. I just think it's funny how Apple users are so ready and willing to buy a computer that's like. So I'll buy and sell computers if I find a good deal, and I'll just like flip it for a profit. And like the Mac Pro 2009, 2010, 2012, those are like the easiest computers to make money on. And I just sold one for like $600 on eBay, and I took like the lowest price available. Like
Which one?
Okay.
I gave a good price. It was a 2010 dual CPU. I think it just was the base model, 2.8 gigahertz. I had an RX 480 inside of it though, because I wanted to give them something extra, and I threw an SSD in there. But like $600, I mean, I'm not mad about it, obviously,
We're
because
talking
like
a Mac Pro here? Or-
yeah,
Mac
2010
But you know
Mac
how
Pro.
freaking powerful those things are?
Like
the
when I
only
bought
Mac
Mac Pro.
currently out there that
Well,
outperforms
it's all
the Mac
rel-
Pro is the new Mac
Okay,
Pro.
let's put it to you this.
It's all relative how powerful an old. I mean, that's
Yeah.
X58. Like that is not a new standard.
Scott, let me tell you something here. I actually got rid of an iMac 2017, 27-inch for my 2009 Mac Pro because
Well,
it
makes
outperformed
sense.
it like you would not believe.
In some cases, but probably like single core tasks, it got smushed.
Not bad, not too bad. I mean, it was it's single core.
Pretty
It did
bad.
be.
The iMac has been outperforming the Xeon
Oh,
since
yeah.
2010.
I agree with
easy
that, but
in single core performance.
most of the apps nowadays are built on multiple core processing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So-
No, I totally
except
agree.
Adobe.
So
Another thing
yeah.
is none of us, I mean, and there are quite a few of us using our sort of classic Mac Pros in this group. None of us, I think, paid
All of
$600.
us.
all of us,
Oh,
except for
that's
Scott.
Mine was great.
I would think that most of the people here probably ended up picking up their classic Mac Pros for a budget price. And if we're talking about pure bang for buck, I mean, it's a different story if you're, paying outrageous eBay prices. But if you're getting hold of your, classic Mac, Mac Pro for a really good price, you get a lot of power for not a lot of dollars.
But that's the eBay effect,
Yeah,
which
I agree.
we talked about extensively on here. The eBay effect is,
That's
is
right.
the problem. I got my Mac Pro, and Jay always hates this when I say it, for $150 with 2 upgraded CPUs thrown in. The guy hadn't even put them in yet. In fact, Rocky's running those CPUs now.
Yep.
But I got it for $150, and he threw in a Power Mac G4, or not Power Mac, a PowerBook G4 as well, which works perfect too. So
Isn't that like a 17-inch?
yeah, it's a
G4?
17-inch G4. Yeah,
Yeah, the rare ones
Yes.
that are worth good money. Darn it.
but the point is though, you know, the only thing I've thrown in here basically is I put in some SSDs, I put in more RAM, I've upgraded the CPUs, and I put a new video card in. Other than that, you know, my machine actually will do gaming on par with most modern Windows machines. So, you know,
Well, I think, you know, we're sort of getting a little in depth in the details here because it's all about what you're going to use with the machine, what software you use, what hardware you use, what accessories you use, and is it going to work for you? I'm looking at the laptop I have here. It's a Retina 15-inch mid 2015. It doesn't have a dedicated graphics card, 16 gigs of RAM, 2.2
It's very
gigahertz
clean
i7.
inside.
It's very clean inside for reasons that, yeah. And it honestly has not failed me yet. It's working pretty well. It's so clean that the batteries now recognize Jay. And you know, I do video editing for work. Nothing fancy 4K or anything. It's just 1080p stuff, and it handles it admirably. I've never had a performance issue with it. You know, this machine is the newest Mac I've ever used. Earlier to this, I have a 2012 Mac Pro. Before that, it was a 2011 iMac, and before that was a 2006 iMac.
Mhm.
So I think generally speaking, a lot of us in the chat, or on the stream rather, tend to just use the Macs until they just can't be used anymore. But I totally agree with you, Scott, that a lot of people are like, oh, I need the next new device. It's 10 megahertz faster, or it's got, you know, it's got an extra USB-C slot or something. And there's this mania, this insanity that's going on by these people who, you know, they haven't even paid off this phone yet. They haven't even paid off this laptop yet, and they want to go out and buy another one because it's the new one. And they don't even understand the specs. They don't even understand why it's new. It's just new and they have to have it. I've seen people literally throw away perfectly good machines because it's old, and just without a care in the world for it.
Company I work for is doing
Insane.
that.
yeah.
But
Insane.
if I can circle back to the
Yeah.
to the main topic of discussion, the 2015 MacBook Pro, it is one of the things, and we talked about this in the chat. One of the things you didn't touch on, or from what I heard, is hardware flaws. Like,
Yeah, that's
out
true.
of
I
all
didn't.
the issues the Retinas have, screen delamination, all of them, 2012 to 2019, we get 2019s with screen delamination. Believe it or not, it's still bad. After 2015, you got the butterfly keyboards, but there's a whole bunch of logic board issues with the pre-2015 models as well. And the 2015 isn't perfect. You know, you got that current battery recall program going on. If the stuff suddenly starts ballooning up on you, and it's a Retina, so the screen will eventually fall apart. But at least the 2015 is currently, or was up until a week ago, still covered by Apple's repair program. If you buy a 2012, 13, 14 with some delamination on the screen, you know, did someone just fart? What was that?
I don't know. It sounded like a trombone.
Yeah, it sounded like my girlfriend moved a chair upstairs.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a very elegant way of putting it, Grudy.
Yeah.
Let me
So
just
if you-
move this chair.
If you take all that into account, it makes sense why the 2015 has held its value for so long, even in 2020, because it's an excellent computer as long as it doesn't fall apart. So
Yeah, that's true. But you guys need to understand, like, you guys aren't like average. You're not like the normal everyday YouTuber, like person that's gonna
I'm
watch
special.
YouTube. No, I mean, you guys are all special in your own ways. Some more than others. But I guess what I would say is, to defend myself, is the 2015 MacBook Pro, from my perspective, like, I understand that there are hardware flaws, but like that's sort of what you get with every Apple computer. I mean, like everything. Apple's ever
I wouldn't
made.
even say it's only Apple. I would actually disagree and say it's all computers nowadays because
Let the boy
yeah.
finish.
But go
I
ahead.
would agree.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree, but it's Mac Yak. It's not computer Yak.
Yeah.
So,
Damn right it is.
but
Absolutely.
I guess from my perspective, I'm not gonna, like, if I go in depth into those problems, nobody's gonna buy anything. And if they want a computer, I want to explain to them that, hey, you know what? The 2015 is a great laptop. But a lot of people will comment on my videos and say, I got the 2.2 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage for $1,100, for $1,000. Is that a good deal? Is that a good deal? And I'm just like, no, that's not a good
It's not.
No.
And I hate being like a Debbie Downer, but I'm like, no, you kind of got burned. So that's why
Where
I
do
make,
you live? New York?
and even then. So I guess from where I'm sitting, maybe not knowing quite as much about, how this part's going to fail, that part's going to fail. Like understanding that those exist, like the 2015's got the battery problem, the graphics failures, I think in like even the 2012, 2013s, 2014s, I believe. And from like my perspective, when you're buying a used computer, you are taking on that risk inherently of purchasing a computer that potentially might break tomorrow. And that's just it. So if you're going to take on that, if you're going to look at it from that perspective, like my perspective, where I'm buying this and I understand the risk of that it might break, I don't think it will. That's why I buy it. But I want people to know that if you're going to buy something like that, you might as well get something that is literally the exact same CPU wise and pretty much the same graphically speaking, like, and save yourself maybe 250, $300. Because a lot of people, if you're buying a 2015, 2014, 2013, 2012, they're not looking to spend $1,500 on a used 2018. Like they probably can't afford anything more. So I guess what I'll say is you might as well buy the cheaper of the options based on the specs. And I guess going even further into that, if it's a 2013 and it's made it to 2020, I guess there's a chance that it's going to fail. But I don't know if it's like the 80-20 rule, but like if it's going to have a problem, it probably would have already happened. I mean, it's 7 years later. I know that might be a little naive, but it's 7 years to have a computer that some people use every single day. That's a long time. So
Yeah.
I guess from what I'm coming from, it's a 2015 has its advantages, faster SSD. I think it's a by 4 and the Force Touch trackpad, and obviously the more sturdy one, but it's still got its problems, and it's still like people are just paying a lot of money. And what I do is CPU intensive, like I video edit. So for me, I'm not going to go out and buy a 2015 just because, it might last longer. I mean, it should last longer because it's also 2 years newer, but it might not have as many problems, I guess, or it'll have extra support.
Who video edits on a laptop nowadays?
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I hear what you're saying, and you have defended yourself admirably. You have good points. Absolutely.
What machine do you
Steve, your
use, Scott?
microphone is doing something weird.
Doing the flickery thing that it does sometimes.
What about now?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Okay. So Scott, what machine do you currently use today?
Oh boy, I'm gonna get yelled at. Somebody already told me who invited this guy to the chat. So
All right,
currently,
just spill your Windows sin. It's okay.
well, what happened was I was really trying to make I was trying to make Mac OS work for the amount of money that I can spend on a computer, and it just wasn't working because all I could really afford was pretty much like a 2013, 2014, 2015 MacBook Pro. And at that price, I would normally get it for around $600. It's pretty much where I was comfortable paying for it. So I ended up getting a Windows computer because I wanted to 4K. And so I have a 6800K with an RX 480. And the idea was actually to Hackintosh it, but that I can't stand doing that. So it's
and see, that makes perfect sense. You're building a machine, you're buying a machine for your dedicated purpose, and it suits your needs. That's perfectly fine. There's no shame in doing that. I built a PC with a 6500K just for games and stuff, and it's fine. It's a few years old, but it's not going to break any records or anything.
And your mic is flipping out again.
If your phone is close to the mic, move it away.
Oh, it's away now. I don't know if that helps. I'm turned into.
Yeah, that seems to help.
All right. So what my point is just saying, like, everyone's going to use a different system differently. I think a lot of us are just like the variety of we're going to use it till it dies. But obviously, having a system that is suited to your needs and has all the bells and whistles that you need for work, if that's what it's got to be, that's what it's got to be. It doesn't matter what year it is or anything like that. I totally understand you wanting to build your own machine rather than buying what Apple has available because that's the only machine they made that's in your price range. Because I have a lot of video friends and people that do things that require a lot of horsepower who have made similar decisions. And that's just the way they had to go.
Yeah, and it comes down to what, like, look all the time on like Facebook Marketplace for deals. Like the Mac Pro I got two 2010 Mac Pros, both dual socket for $300. So that's like that was an all-time deal. It was like
two at 300 each.
Oh yeah, a total of 300. Like I gave the guy 300. I got two computers.
Yeah,
Spent 200
that's a great price. Yeah.
So
2009, dang it!
Yeah, because if you're comparing directly specs of this 2009 Mac Pro Xeon to single core performance or multi core performance of a brand new I series processor, yeah, they're going to be differences.
Yeah, and like I've tried iMacs. I had a 5K Retina iMac. I think it was a 6th gen i7, and it just like it wasn't enough. Like the graphics card couldn't really even support the display. So it must have been a 4th gen, it must have been 2014. It was like an M290X and it couldn't even support the 5K resolution. So like I've tried so hard to stay within Mac OS. Like I switching over to Windows has actually been much easier than I thought, but I've really done everything I could to stay in Mac OS. We still have a MacBook Pro, so I haven't left it entirely, but there's just nothing like the 6800K I bought. I mean, you might, I don't know, since you guys are Mac people, you might not know. But
trust me, I'm a PC guy too.
I got that for, I think I bought that with the X99 motherboard, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and an AIO cooler. I got it for like 190 to 200 bucks. I can't remember exactly. So it was so cheap. I'm like, well, I'll just see if Windows works, and it's worked enough. I would prefer Mac OS, but with what I can afford now, like, I mean, I would love to be able to buy like an iMac Pro or the new Mac Pro, but that's just like super unrealistic. And I just sort of require more than 4 cores. And so like a Mac Mini 2018 could work, but then I have to buy an external graphics card and a graphics card. And it just, it seems like so much.
But he's not using a 2010 Mac Pro though. So you're complaining about not having enough cores. You got a dual CPU 2010.
Yeah.
Well, more cores. I mean, more old cores is not necessarily better than less new cores, is what I would say.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
In some cases, it depends. I mean, for what I do, I need with video editing. It's better if I have faster and less cores that are equivalent in terms of performance on like total multi-core performance.
Yeah, and you probably want the newer Intel chips that could do the HVAC stuff on the chip and on the fly and all that stuff. I mean, all that stuff adds up, and it's there is this problem, or not a problem, but there is a trade-off when you're using an older machine. Now, it's maybe fine enough for me, but if you need to push it to the limit of something and you don't want to wait 2.5 hours to render a video like I do, then yeah, it makes sense for you not to be shoehorned into Apple's ecosystem there when hey, you know what, I need something a little different, and you go out there and build your own stuff. I mean, that's half of what these people do when they're building Hackintoshes is they don't want to be stuck into Apple's platform anymore. They love the software, but they hate the hardware.
Yeah, I mean, the software is it's not even close. Like I'll use the MacBook Pro and it's just like, it's like butter, but it doesn't, the hardware isn't
like
there.
Butter.
It is. I mean, it's literally just like the smoothest thing. And then
if only Apple would
hearing,
sell it.
Steve, stop being reasonable and understanding. The audience wants to fight.
okay, we can fight.
I get the reasoning. You could have just said, this wedding is bleeding me dry. All I can get is a piece. It's all right. I get it. And
you want to know what she wanted? Our honeymoon, how much that cost?
I could have bought 5 Mac Pros.
I could have bought 10 Mac Pros.
With wheels. Yeah. I know that there's the right computer out there for different kind of tasks. Like if you, this might be outdated knowledge because I haven't looked into this in over a decade. But if you want to do CAD work, typically you go with PC for the better software options and stuff like that. I don't know if that's changed by now, but video, typically you end up with a Mac. Final Cut Pro and stuff like that.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro is awesome, but I can't stand
What?
Yeah.
Ads moving to Linux. Just a
No, we don't discuss Linux on this.
No.
it. No Linux. Please.
Oh God.
Oh man, we're
Well,
Well,
no Mac OS
since-
is
Just
BSD.
to confirm there, Scott, because you said you couldn't stand Final Cut. Do you mean the software or just running it on a Mac?
Oh, I've tried so many times because I've literally tried so many times to get my Mac to work as my computer, but I don't like how I use Premiere, and Premiere for me is just a little bit more of a big boy software, not in like a mean way, but I feel like it does a little bit more for me, and Final Cut Pro it's too confusing. Like, I don't like how everything just snaps together.
It all just came together. He uses an Adobe product. He needs the best single core performance he can get because Adobe doesn't really do multi.
Yeah.
That's true.
Whereas Final Cut
Yeah.
Pro does
Yeah.
use multi-core.
We've all been there.
I've never
But-
And
used
if you-
Premiere,
If
so
you-
I'm kind of
if you
curious.
You press the N key on Final Cut Pro, all your snapping issues go
Yep.
away.
Oh, really? I did
I
not know
had to
that.
Google that one. I was in the same situation you were, bud.
That's actually interesting.
See, now he's going to be like, should I go
He's
back to
going
Final
back.
Cut
I've
Pro?
never had snapping issues.
Well, that's
involved.
because you never.
I don't even know what a snapping
That's because
issue is.
Grudy doesn't know
Then
what
again, I
snapping
make one
is.
video a year. So.
It's when you do this. That's.
Oh, yeah.
But Grudy takes about a day to edit his, right?
No,
I don't know.
usually
He's
take a
cranking
few
out 5
hours.
videos a day now. I had to mute his
I
email.
know. All right.
You did a valiant effort in defending yourself,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So,
I am curious about Final Cut Pro, though. I'm curious how that, like, Final Cut compares to, or Premiere Pro.
You can watch
my
Dave's
child's walking
videos
in
on
here.
that.
Well, Bruce is
Yeah.
currently taking a little break, but I think he was wondering about DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if he wants to switch or if he just wants to try it out, but the Final Cut Pro is easy, which is what makes it popular, but I'm sure it's not the best suite out there, but I wouldn't know about that.
I don't know.
Oh.
I really like it.
Lots of
They
movie
even
makers
copied it.
use them.
There's some company that does both Linux and Windows that actually copied Final Cut Pro's approach to how they do video editing, because a friend of mine actually turned me onto it. He was like, "Oh, this is what I use on my Windows computer." And guess what? It's almost like a Final Cut Pro clone. And I was
Yeah,
like,
well, Apple's reinvented Final
What
Cut
is
Pro a
this?
handful of times these days, so it's not like what we have now is very, very
Yeah,
similar.
but
to
no, I
what we
mean-
used to have.
Why do we
Yeah,
even
there's
bother
similarities.
these days? All you need is an iPhone to create a
well, that's
Hollywood
what
movie,
Apple
right?
says.
"Oh yeah, right. I know. Come on, let's bust it out."
Yeah, you just need a 20K lighting setup and you're good. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can use
Yeah.
an iPhone.
But, all right.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and move on because this is kind of going into our next topic in a way. Is the latest always the greatest? Okay, we just talked about, Scott was talking about 2015 MacBook Pro. It's not the greatest, and we all said we all owned 10-year-old Mac Pros. Where this topic is basically saying, is the latest always the greatest? So, like for instance, the new Mac Pro is already out there. A lot of us can't touch that with a 10-foot pole because it's way out of our price range.
Unless you're
Yeah.
greedy.
Hey,
But to be honest with you, I'm going to start off by saying that I have experience with this because, like I said before, I got rid of a 2017 iMac, 27-inch iMac, 5K display for my current, 2009 Mac Pro. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's been really good and I like it. And I really don't need another desktop machine right now. My other iMac is sitting over here. I've got a 2009 iMac that still does work as well. I mean, and the reason why I like it is because guess what? I can actually repair the damn thing because I can pull the display off of it, So, but
Can't argue with that.
and that's the reason why I like it. The 2017 iMac, I think, was it 2012 and up, is where you could not technically,
2013.
was it 2013? I thought it was 2012.
I
No,
think.
2012.
Something like that.
2012.
You could not.
They started gluing it in 2012.
Yeah, that's when they made it so thin. They're like, oh, look how thin it can be, and took out the CD drive, and put the SD card slot on the back.
And one fan.
Yeah, and one fan.
True. It's one hell of a blower, though.
Well,
I'll give
I
you that.
think what this will.
It's terrible.
But I'm going to tell you something though. When I opened mine up after a year of owning it, Jay saw how much dirt crap was in that fan. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you can't open it up to fix it, then it's not really worth buying or to clean it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a prediction here, going off of exactly what you're saying,
What's
Greg.
that?
If you are the type of person who is fully comfortable with ripping apart your machine, playing around with some unsupported software patches, and you just like tinkering with stuff, you're going to likely prefer Apple's older stuff that is more accessible. Yep. However, if you're the type of person that you don't want to worry about it, you have to do it for work, you're on a tight deadline, you're on a tight schedule, you don't want any fuss, and you just need something that's quick, you're likely going to want the later
and
stuff.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree.
I don't.
Yep. That's the thick iMacs.
No, at home I use the older stuff, but at work, I started this job. It's like, what kind of computer do you want? I had full range, like whatever I wanted. If I said, give me a 12-core trash can with a curved display, they would have given it to me. I went with a 2012 MacBook Pro because it works. I don't need a Retina or i7, all that stuff. So,
well, to be honest with you, Jay, this 27-inch iMac I got sitting over here has a pretty damn good display on it. I mean, you can't even tell. I mean, the Retina display is fine and everything, or the 5K display, but I think it was overblown on those 27-inch iMacs. To be honest with you, it is gorgeous, but I really don't need that. I mean, I'm running 1080 by, I think it's 3840 by 1080 on this one because I got a ultra wide monitor here, but it's just, yeah, there's my cuckoo clock.
That's stupid.
And a cuckoo clock.
Yeah, but
that's an extra.
The thing is, though, is what I'm trying to say is that having the latest and greatest, and I think Scott will probably agree with us on this about the iPhone thing. The video he made. Why get the greatest when he's still running what a 20? What are you running again? A 5? You said?
Oh, an
SE.
SE.
An SE. Okay, so there you go. So, I mean, if it works, why do you need to upgrade?
Exactly.
Well, I'll be devil's advocate here.
Uh-oh.
I think it was last year. Or was it already 2018? I don't remember. I got the iPhone XS. 512 gigs of storage. Even though my iPhone SE, I miss it every day. Best phone Apple ever made. But I have a 4-year-old kid. I take a lot of pictures and videos. It is very important for me to have a good camera. Mm-hmm. And the quality increase when you go from an iPhone SE to an XR is just dramatic, and of course, a picture is a picture. Once you print it out or something, you're not going to be able to tell, but who knows where technology is going to take us in the next 20, 30 years. And I don't want to tell my kid, like, Dad, why is this picture such a crappy quality? So, well, I liked my phone and didn't want to upgrade. No, I'm going to upgrade my phone a little bit more often than I want to have that good camera with the good software, the stabilization, and all that stuff. So for those reasons, I will update my phone more often than I would like. But when it comes to computers, I'll lag as far behind as I possibly can.
I mean, I'm running an iPhone XS Max, okay? So I don't need the iPhone 11 right now, but because it's a XS, it's the second version. I didn't buy the iPhone 10. Okay, I had an iPhone 8 before that. So I kind of skip a couple, every so often I skip a couple versions of iPhone. So I don't buy the latest just because, it's the new thing that's out, But I do kind of keep up with my iPhone like Jay. I think Jay's correct on that.
I used to run a cycle of about sort of one every. I used to sort of buy. So there was you would have the whole number and then you'd have the S. So the 6 and then the 6S and the 7 and 7S. And I used to always skip the S. So I used to always just get the main one and then skip the S. But to be honest, I have been so happy with my iPhone 7, I haven't updated it since since buying that one.
Yeah,
And
the exact same way, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm usually the S guy. I started with a 3GS. I stayed with that 3GS until they dropped support for it. And then I got my uncle's iPhone 4 for free and then went to the 5S and then went to the 6S and stayed on the 6S until I inherited Dad's 10S Max.
Yeah, I mean,
Now-
I went from the first iPhone to the 3G to the 4 to the 5, and then to the 6, and then to the 8. And I'm still on the 8. It's getting a little sluggish and weird. I don't know if it's just an iOS 13 bug or what the heck, but I go to take a
I
picture,
haven't
the
been
thing
happy
will
with 13.
stutter. Yeah, so who knows? But generally speaking, that's probably the only new device I will ever buy from Apple, as long as I am in my current financial situation, because that's probably the only thing that I could afford eventually.
Now,
Well, I went
agree
from
with
a
you.
rotary phone
Sorry.
to
I-
never mind.
Sorry.
Going back a little too
What
far.
are you trying to? No, okay. No, I'm in the S clan as well, and that's because they are, in my experience, you get that first generation phone, you're going to have quirky issues. You have the S class, they've worked out the bugs. But aside from that, though, I see where Jay's coming from on the phone and the camera. I also have a child as well. And in my personal opinion, though, I went out, I paid $167 and bought a 14 megapixel camera. It was made by Sony. And I used that to take pictures because, the camera on my phone wasn't what I wanted. So I kept with the phone, and this is the difference. It's not bad on Jay. It's not bad on me. It is a difference in how we do things. I prefer to go with a camera that's got the higher megapixels. I hold on to that thing for 5-10 years, and then I do whatever I want with my phone, and my phone works great because honestly the 6S had a camera that was more than good enough to do what I wanted it to do when I needed to do it. So that's just kind of a difference in use case, and like everybody has been saying, it's all about what you use it for. And by the way, speaking of my child, she wants my attention, so I shall be back in a second.
I definitely agree with you there, Rocky, because I mean, that's the same as me. I will take my phone out. If I take a photo with the phone, it's just like stuff that's happening around me. If I'm going out to a picnic or if I'm taking photos of family members or something like that, I pull out a camera, an actual camera, as opposed to a phone camera, where you have decent lenses and you've got, sort of a lot more control over the shot. So, I mean, I've got some beautiful photos that I take with my camera, and then with the phone, if I'm out somewhere and I see something, I can take it with the phone. It's better than nothing, but I don't crave the better camera from the phone because I've actually got a camera.
That is not to say that, using a phone as a camera or using an actual camera is always a valid option. Because if I need to have my DSLR ready for every good shot I want to take of my kid, I'm going to carry that thing with me 24/7, and I'm still going to miss the shot.
Well,
So
you'll
that's
never make
where-
a good photographer.
Oh, I see how it is. But no, by the time you, especially if you do manual settings to get the result you want, try to get a 4-year-old to sit still for even 2 blinks of an eye. It's impossible.
that is
So
true.
Yeah.
the phone comes in really handy to get good pictures of my kid. But for other stuff, I agree. I will grab the DSLR. If I have time to frame the shot and test a few different settings. Yes.
Yeah, so I think, depending on what you're using, you could probably get away with either. I just tend to hold on to my stuff as long as I can until it's no longer practical for me to use it. I think it's also a generational thing. I think a lot of the younger individuals just really want the latest and greatest. Their friends have it. They want it. They may not understand the technical differences. They just want it because it's new. A lot of the older generation, we just want to hold on to it till it works, and we don't want to pay for a new one until it's broken.
Well, the funny thing is, my friend, he calls me I mean, we talk often, but he calls me once a year for a specific purpose. He says, "Dude, a lot of sighing and stuff. 5 minutes of sighing, and so I know what kind of call it's going to be." He said, "I need to get a new phone." I said, "Why?" "Well, my battery sucks, so you get a new one from iFixit." "Well, it's full. You can empty it in iPhoto." Well, and every year it's the same thing. He calls me to try and talk him out of getting the latest phone. Then we hang up, and the next day he orders it. Because he doesn't know why, but he just wants to have the newest all the time, and that's fine. You know, some people are just really into tech. I used to be on the Kool-Aid and want a new phone, a new Mac, but yeah, there's very, very rarely an absolute need for it.
Yep. Yeah, my brother just called me right before I did a stream the other day. He was at the phone store and he just wanted to switch his phone from one plan to another. And he's like, "Oh, they're giving me this offer on an iPhone 11. If I trade in my iPhone 8, they're going to give me $750 for my 8, and I might do it." And I'm like, "All right, well, you got to actually read that contract you're signing, because they're not just giving you all that money for that phone for nothing. You're probably going to stick with them for 30 or 35 months." And he didn't end up doing it. He realized, hey, my phone's just fine how it is. I don't need a new one. But you can easily get roped into that.
How much did they offer him?
I think it was about $700
Jesus, for an 8?
for an 8. Now, this is AT&T. They'll give you whatever they want to sign a 30-month contract, I'm sure. So and they wanted us to change the family plan and everything. So yeah, long story.
Yeah, because by the time you're done paying AT&T for a subsidized phone, you easily pay $500 or more extra on top of the actual value. So.
Absolutely. And by the way, Scott, just to kind of give you a heads up, you got to get in there. You got to be like a T-Rex. You got to fight for it. Come on, man. You can't sit back there and be quiet.
I didn't want to be rude.
No,
we're all
and
rude to
we
each other.
don't
Push in there.
be rude either, but we just keep talking, and suddenly it's 2
That's
hours
the
later.
reason
and
why
wait, did our guest speak?
That's the reason why we call it Mac Yak.
Yeah. If you wait for a pause, you'll never get in.
Yeah, you just have to push
Bruce
yourself
learned
in
that
there.
very quickly, I must say. Bruce learned
Yes,
that
he
very
did.
quickly.
Well, I guess what I'll say about upgrading a new phone every year, being a little bit younger, obviously there's a lot of people my age who want the latest and greatest, but there's a couple things. When you upgrade the camera, you only, 99.99% of the time, what screen are you going to look at those photos on? The phone camera, the phone screen. So like, I love when people are like, "Oh, I could take a 3086 by 4036 photo or whatever," and then they look at it like a 1080p or a 720p screen. I think that's
Fair
funny.
point.
Like for the cameras,
Yeah.
I like the SE. For me, when I take a picture with my camera on my phone, it's just about capturing the moment. To me, it's not about like, oh, like I could like this really well, but my dog is gonna move. You know what I mean? Like, or my cat is gonna move. So I'm just gonna take the photo, and that's fine. And then I'll look back at it one day and be like, oh, that was so cute. But what I'll also say is, I come from the standpoint where most people think they need a lot more than they actually do. So, like a lot of people, like in America, I know there are some non-Americans here, but America, there is like the average household has $15,000 of credit card debt, and 70% live paycheck to paycheck. So when I make a video, I'm thinking about like those things in mind. So like, yeah, you could probably buy a new phone with like a $50 a month plan, $45 a month plan, but on average, you probably have a significant amount of debt. So wouldn't it be better to pay off the debt and then buy a little bit older phone instead of upgrading to like the latest phone every single year? So I would say,
But to be fair, this whole, and this very predominant in America from, I don't know how many years it's been going on, because I haven't been here that long, but I would say 50s, maybe 60s. People have been conditioned to live off credit cards. Nobody spends their own money. Everybody spends the bank's money. And
well,
I
they
was
spend their own
raised-
money. It's just the banks.
Yeah, and I was raised, if you don't have it in your bank account or your piggy bank, you don't get it.
It's impulse, and of course, this is the whole thing that we talk about with advertising, and we were talking about advertising before with Apple making their computers and their devices look sexy, trying to create an emotional connection, and then you go in and you buy things based on impulse. I mean, how easy is it now to buy something? I mean, you can just be sitting, you don't have to even leave your chair. You can sit there and think, that's a cool thing. And you just grab your phone or your iPad or whatever, and you jump online and you buy it. And the next thing you know, one click, bang, it's done. And whether you're doing that with some sort of, you're doing it with your own money or on credit or on, things like the payday loans where, it's like, oh, I get paid in 2 days, but I want it now. Rather than waiting 2 days to buy it, you buy it on some form of credit that you then pay back when you get paid. I mean, that the whole impulse buying is just so huge. Not just in America, but just in the Western world in general. So,
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that generations of people are having trouble overcoming. I'm reading in the chat, Dysfunctional Wombat saying, I only spend the money I have. The same with me. That's why I'm so cheap with things. I keep a list of exactly, what I'm spending on this or that. And I'll keep something until it breaks because I'm not going to buy a new one. I got, a car from 2006 that, knock wood, is still working, So
Dang, it's newer than mine.
Stick to the basics.
Yes, it's newer than mine.
Yeah, well, it also has 170,000 miles on it. So
I'm currently outside because it was getting a little hot in my office, but the coat I'm currently wearing is 16 years old.
Oh, boy.
16 years old. My
I'm
wife
too
finally
fat for anything that old.
forced me. My wife forced me to have it repaired because it had some holes in it. And I just walk around not giving a damn what anyone else thinks of me. But she's like, you need to have this fixed.
Yeah,
so I had it patched up.
When
And
people
now
stop you on the street and put money in your pockets, be like, here, sir.
Oh,
and you need to repair your clothes.
That might work.
The concept of repairing shoes and repairing clothes and also these are things that these days there are jobs that people had. Their sole purpose was repairing things, and a lot of those trades are just going out of business because people are buying new stuff. They're not repairing old stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just sad.
Yeah, I think we could fill a whole topic on that in another show.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we've established that all the Mac Yak guys are tight. So.
Yes. Don't expect any big wedding gifts from us, Scott.
Yes.
I'll send you some floppies. That's about it. And you're paying shipping.
Well, we're not that cheap.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I bought a brand new monitor for my computer, so I mean, I'm not that cheap either because it's a ultra wide.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some things you want to buy new, like a brand new screen or a brand new camera lens or something. There's some things and I buy new because it's like that's the only option to do it. And if you buy it used, you're saving such a little amount of money, and you don't got a warranty, and it's not fresh out of the box and stuff like that. I may be a cheap wad, but there are situations where yes, you should buy something brand new, and that's probably makes the most sense for that particular product you're buying. If you could afford it, go ahead and do it.
Hey, I got 2 monitors that are sitting here that were included with stuff, plus the third one in the middle I did buy you, so I like my old monitors.
If anybody has old monitors to sell, just go to Rocky.
I still run 1080p monitors on everything. I never went anywhere past that. Everything has 1080p or lower.
It's whatever you got to use.
That's what this.
I mean, I'm comfortable repairing electronics, but when it came to my lawnmower, hey, I want the warranty. I don't want any wear and tear on the product I'm not familiar with. I bought it new. Same with the leaf blower.
Yeah.
Same for a lot of things that have batteries in it. Like, hey.
Retail stores make majority of their profits on warranties and credit cards. That's where majority of the profit comes from.
And
I've never ever bought a warranty, and nothing's ever happened.
I'm going to tell you you are 100% correct because I work for Best Buy, and the 2 things that they push the most, or actually 3, should I say? Okay. 3 things they push most are credit card applications, of course, for the store. The second thing they push is TTS, which is Total Tech Support, okay, which is what Geek Squad kind of does there. And then third is GSP, which is Geek Squad Protection, which is like a warranty, extended warranty. So they push all 3 of those on
Well, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I don't pay for extended
Yeah,
warranty. I'm not the
I
schmuck
don't
that
either.
buys Apple
Yeah.
Care on
Oh.
anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I paid for an extended warranty that was like $3, and I made a mint back on that because this stupid product failed. So if you ever get one of those stupid Square Trade warranties and it's a risky thing and it's like $2, it saved my ass on something. Now it's probably not the smartest deal because
Okay.
you'll find a loophole. But
On this that I just purchased, okay, it is very expensive, but you know what?
And a very weird
Yes,
looking mouse.
it's vertical. But here's the thing, though. Okay, I did buy what they call GSP on it. Okay, and the reason for that is because it's a 2-year warranty. So I could sit there at the very end of the 2 years, throw this against the wall, go in and say, "Hey, it's broke. I need a new one," and they have to give me a new one.
that's because
Oh,
the
that
internal.
makes you-
You know the internal strings to pull, GT.
That's
you're playing.
That, I'm
But I mean, that
sorry,
would have come with a
that just
standard-
makes you. That makes you. a
No.
douchebag. That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with.
That I assume would have come with a
That's
standard.
that's
12-month
exactly what the
warranty
guy
anyway,
told
so
me
you've
when
got-
I got it. But it only here's the thing though. Here's the catch. I only paid I think it was $2 for it because my employee discount, of course. But
Well, because these
You'll hit
these
the warranty
warranties
limit.
are all insured by different companies and whatnot. I'm sure it's no skin off Best Buy's back when you go and return
Yeah.
something. It's and a lot of these products, like Bruce was saying, oh, maybe it has a 12-month warranty. A lot of these things don't anymore. I bought a microphone. It has a 60-day warranty, and I'm like, what's going to happen in 60 days? I'm not even going to take it out of the box. It's going to expire.
For me, the warranty, it's opportunistic for the companies. I know we're drifting a little off topic. I'll keep it brief. But you buy how much is a fully pimped out Mac Pro? 50 grand Mac Pro with
52.
displays and everything. You get a 1-year warranty. With Apple Care, you get 3 if you're lucky. My juicer has a 16-year warranty out of the box. Like, who puts more faith in their own product? Just saying.
What kind of juicer is it?
It must be
Vitamix?
spectacular.
No.
Not Vitamix.
I forgot the name, but I'll put it.
Juicermix.
I'll put it in
Yeah.
chat later.
That's 16's a long time.
Yeah.
This
So.
chair I got from Goodwill, the warranty is a 12-year warranty, and they don't require any proof of purchase or anything. So when I saw the chair at Goodwill, I'm like, okay, if I break it, I'll probably get a refund.
well, that's probably why it hasn't broke. It's got a 12-year warranty. I haven't heard of anything with a 12-year warranty on it
it's
anymore.
supporting my fat ass, so that's
Yeah. It's an Omega juicer, by the way.
Omega.
Ah,
Yeah.
that one.
now here from our sponsor,
that one?
Mega Juicer.
Like you know what he's talking about, Rocky?
No,
Ah,
it's a
that one.
16-year
Kind of.
warranty.
Isn't that the one that went out of business?
Nope.
See,
Okay,
he has no clue.
No, there was one that I'm thinking of.
Anyway.
Is that the one that does the pressure juice thing? All right, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, like Matt is saying in the chat, my parents' washing machine has a 10-year warranty. And yes, I know a washing machine or a juicer doesn't have as many parts that make up the whole as a computer.
Yes.
But come on, you know what your components can do. We're using computers here that are 20 years old.
I don't know about washing machines. They're getting pretty darn complicated and hard to fix.
Yeah, and there's
They are.
a lot more strain on the materials in a washing machine than on a damn computer.
Yeah.
So why do you get 10 years there and 1 year for a $50,000 computer?
My
But
washing
that's a
machine
different
is
topic.
probably
An
not even a
expectation,
year
yeah.
old. The stupid plastic already broke on it. So.
Yeah.
Because computers, they expect you to throw it away in 2 years and buy a brand new one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right, let's.
No.
You're supposed to keep us in
Yeah.
line, GT.
I'm trying to. That's why I sent the text to you guys. I don't want to mouse it.
That's why I
You don't
said
read
go
that.
on.
Oh,
and you're
the one
like,
I didn't
"Oh,
read?
no."
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on topics here because we are already an hour and 20 minutes into our show.
Yeah,
What
Scott
we
doesn't have
do?
anything.
Yeah, it's
We're
what we
doing pretty
do.
good.
Yeah. Next topic, and we're only on. This is only topic 3, so we're coming up to topic 4,
Just cut
which
off
is our love-hate relationship with Apple. And everybody that's watched this show knows that we love Apple and we hate Apple. Okay,
Wait, did I forget to make an
No.
overlay?
it's right there.
I did. No, we're skipping topic 4.
Yeah, we just
No.
skipped topic 4.
No.
Yeah, we did.
You didn't make an
topic 4.
overlay because
Was
this is
2019.
4.
Yeah, I messed up. I didn't make an
So,
overlay
oh
for that
well.
one. We'll
Yeah.
circle back.
Anyways,
Might have to change topic.
love-hate relationship, because as you know, we call out Apple when they do crap, and we praise them for when they do good, which lately has been more bad, I think, than good. Because,
A
yeah.
little bit.
Although we were pretty excited about the new Mac Pro, and we were pretty thrilled with that, and the specs on it that we've seen so far have been pretty darn good. So I got to give them credit for that. Going to the way they're doing the new Mac Pro, I mean, this thing looks beautiful on the inside. No cables at all
On the inside.
on the inside.
Well, maybe for the interest of this not turning into a 4-hour Mac Yak, maybe we go around and each say what we want to say about our love-hate relationship and go to the next
Yeah,
guy.
okay,
Does that make
makes sense. And I'll go ahead and start it off so. As far as I like Apple because I like, to be honest with you, I like being in the ecosystem. To be honest, I mean, it's nothing new there, but to be there's really no comparison to Windows. I used to be a big Windows person way back in the day, and then I switched over I got my first MacBook Air, and I got my taste of Mac OS, and I got hooked. I was like, why have I been using Windows, which was crap all this year, and it still kind of is crap? And I started using Mac OS. Now, to be honest with you, my hate part of it is that you see Apple going towards the same mistakes that Microsoft has made. Okay, they have basically been copying Microsoft's mistakes and going after it. Like the OS is just starting to go downhill. I am actually running this on Catalina right now, and I had to actually put a special patch in for OBS to actually get OBS to run on here, because that's the way things work, I guess, on Catalina. As far as and I had to put Catalina on here too because of the video card I'm running, because the video card drivers are not in anything but Catalina. So I had no choice but to run it. But as far as my hate for Apple goes, I mean, there's a lot of things that we've talked about on here that, there's too numerous to mention that they've done. One of the biggest things is Johnny Ives was stupid for Apple, although he did design some great stuff, but it wasn't for engineers. Okay. And then the guy running the company now, Tim Cook, he is not a true visionary like Steve Jobs was. So he just doesn't know how to run the company the way it should be. So that's my hate. So let's go around the horn here. Grudy, you're next.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Wait a second.
All right, Bruce, you're next.
Yeah, the Apple, I do love the ecosystem. I was a PC user from basically a toddler to right before I graduated college. I started experimenting with Macs, and I used to really bag on Apple all the time, making fun of their software and the fact they didn't support certain things PCs did and stuff. But after I got my iMac G4 that I built out of parts and started playing with Leopard, I started really liking it. And it's the same kind of thing as GT. I realized that Windows really sucks. But I do still use Windows on occasion. But still, it's Apple back in the day honestly was a lot better. And I think they kind of focused themselves more on Jobs' ideas, especially after he passed, about not doing expandability and stuff, where, for instance, Wozniak was all for expandability. And that's what really made Apple computers great, was expandability, repairability, et cetera, et cetera. Steve didn't want fans. He didn't want all that stuff. And it showed in the designs that I've started designing. Like the slot load iMac G3 having no fan. Stupid. The Cube having no fan. Stupid. It even had a place where you could put a fan. They even had the mounting points for it and the header, but no fan. And and it just kept steamrolling and snowballing downhill, and systems kept getting worse and more unreliable. The only thing that I would say has still stayed pretty good was the iPhone itself, but everything else, the quality is just not there anymore. Sure, they're still using high quality stuff, but it doesn't really last like it used to, and you can't fix it. And that's what my biggest problem with Apple is now. But their software is still okay. It's getting a little bloated and slow again, but it's okay. So that's how I feel about it.
Okay, Bruce.
Okay, so just sort of obviously, I am also a big fan of the ecosystem, and obviously that whole thing about it being closed. That's something with Apple. With the phones, and obviously you can only buy. I mean, I realize you can sort of jailbreak things and stuff, but with the phones, you can only buy the software from the App Store, and them having that control over it. Now that's a double-edged sword. Part of it is like people complain, I can't put this app on my phone or something like that. But then at the same time, there is sort of regulation to make sure that like when you buy a phone, it's not full of all that that advertising and stuff like that, and all that garbage that you might get sort of with an Android phone. So I definitely like I do like the fact that it's closed architecture, even though I know that is a double-edged sword. I think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So that's something that I really do like about them. I think that I'm the same with everyone else. That ultimately, Tim Cook is a numbers man. He's not really a visionary. I mean, I don't doubt his ability to make the company huge amounts of money and probably keep shareholders very happy. But it's definitely been, I think, a slowdown in the sort of the innovation side of things. Because my biggest objection to Apple, I mean, I'm always a little bit behind. I haven't even used Catalina yet, so I've got nothing bad to say about it because I've never tried it. But my biggest complaint is, of course, the disposable hardware, which of course we've talked about a lot. The Mac Pro is a step away from that, which is fantastic. We look at the Mac Pro as a machine that's probably going to have a functional life way longer than any of their other products. Obviously the cost reflects that, but as we've said before, I mean, we'll all own one, but just it'll be a long time when they're on the second-hand market and we buy them then. But sort of we'll be buying them sort of, I don't know, 5 to 10 years after they come out, that sort of thing. But I really object to the hardware that is, being made with, very little expandability but more importantly, just made so that it won't last very long. Not, even someone who decides, what, I don't need to upgrade my software, I don't need to upgrade my hardware, I'm going to hang on to this as long as possible. They're way more prone to sort of failure now, just because of the way they're made, and you're more likely to need to buy one because it's broken rather than just because you want to update the software. So that's probably my bit.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
I'll go after Bruce just because I have to. He said a lot of what I was going to say, so I don't have much to say. But yeah, I mean, we're very like-minded in that regard, where I think that some of the innovation that's come out of Apple is probably hindered because they have so much money now that I think when they were struggling back in the late 90s, they were really forced to be like, all right, what do we do really good, and let's just focus on that. And now they're sort of getting to the way where I think they were in the mid 90s, where they got accessories of music, speakers. They have iPods, they have iPhones, they have MacBooks, they have MacBook Pros, they have iMacs, they have iMac Pros. I understand wanting a product for every individual, but they sort of seem to be going a little bit backwards, which is a little concerning. Now, I say this with the notion, knowing that I'll probably never purchase a new Apple computer. I'll probably purchase a a used computer, but I might purchase a new phone or a new iPad or whatever. So their stuff really isn't, to me. They've really become more of a luxury brand than they were in the past. Yes, the prices were always high, but you were getting something out of that price. You were getting a blazing fast 68K processor or something that outperformed a lot of the stuff that was out there, and it was bleeding edge, and it did this, and it was expandable. Now you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for, a soldered on, processor and soldered on memory, and they are making some steps to undo that a little bit. I don't think it's far enough. Uh, Personally, I could care less about what Tim Cook's doing. If Apple's profitable, it's good because I own like 2 shares of Apple stock, so whoop-de-doo. But as a company, I think, yeah, they're financially strong. I think they really need to focus on what they do best. Yes, it's exciting to have new Apple products, but I don't think that the care and attention is there with their products, and it probably hasn't been for some time. So hopefully this Mac Pro is a turnaround for them. But I, don't be surprised when I'm just clinging to my 68K Max.
Now, me being kind of next in the list,
Are
I'm
you
cool with
now?
you skipping
Yeah,
over.
Jay's technically
No,
next.
go ahead. I'm just
No. Jay is last because I got skipped. Because,
Well, if
But-
you're going around that way, I guess so.
yeah, come on. It's a
You
club.
gotta play checkers over.
Yeah, there you go. Because Steve wants to jump in there, but no, it's cool. But what I was going to say just on my little bit is I do come from the era that was OS 6, OS 7, OS 8, and 9. That's the era I come from originally with Apple. So I remember when Apple made an operating system that was revolutionary, that was super easy to use, that made sense, that wasn't complicated, that was genuinely the first GUI operating system that existed. I mean, from the aspect of it is pure GUI. You boot that thing up, it was GUI. Till the end of it, it was GUI. Now you had tools that made it not GUI. But anyway, so I love that. The Apple ecosystem, the Apple world is wonderful in the operating system environment. However, I don't like new Apple because of what they do with hardware, just as everybody else has said. The thing is, though, there's one thing I've loved about Apple from day one till day now, because even though Apple is making less reliable hardware, they're becoming like Mercedes-Benz. It's boutique, it's pretty, it's fancy, it's nice until you've owned it for 2 years. Now it's trash. But regardless, Apple still does make refined hardware, because you know what? There's something I've seen about Apple that you don't find with any other brand. I don't care where you look, you don't find it in any other brand, is the fact that when you buy a computer, it's a complete package. Everything from the hard drive configuration to the sound card, everything works together perfectly. And I don't care if you're using Windows on it because it's an Intel Mac. I don't care if it's a 68K Max. I don't care if it's the G3, G4. All of them have this very cohesive configuration of this product works really well with this product, because guess what? Broadcom makes a lot of different wireless adapters and a lot of different Bluetooth devices. However, in an Apple product, because it's very cohesive in their design, everything works the way it's supposed to. The AC adapter, the Apple airport adapter, which is very similar to every other adapter on the frickin' market that Broadcom makes, it works so much better in a Mac, in Windows or Mac OS, because that it's a cohesive build. The video card to the wireless adapter, everything is a very cohesive, very refined design, because you can take my 3.1, which runs FB-DIMM RAM, and it will actually outperform first generation DDR3, even though FB-DIMM DDR2 was slower than stock DDR2 RAM. That's because Apple built things for their purpose. They built in a cohesive, very specific environment. It's a very beautiful build. And when I used to build custom PCs, I built in the Apple way. I tried to find components that worked together, that complemented each other and worked in a cohesive ecosystem together. And that's
Now,
one thing I love about Apple.
Rocky, just to interject real quick here.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you the same guy that said you were leaving the
Yeah,
Apple?
I remember that.
I
wasn't gonna
should,
bring it up.
but that doesn't mean I don't love it. It's just I want to leave it because I hate the pay by the month model, and you
We,
get
we
screwed.
did
because
say it's a love-hate relationship, so
It
that's
is.
okay.
True. It's
You're
true.
not wrong. I am wanting to leave it, but you they do a good job at certain things.
We
I
just
wish-
keep pulling Rocky back in.
I
Yeah.
know. Right?
Yep. All right. Let's see. Jay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure.
He's joking.
There's not much to add from what you guys already said. So I'll just keep it for me personally. What got me in was the ecosystem. You know, back when I had my first Mac, everything just worked. OS 9. When I got my first iPod, it just worked with iTunes, and everything just worked. Now, and I think the most recent example is the iPhone 7 or 8. I don't remember. But you bought your brand new iPhone, you took it home, you wanted to sync it with iTunes, and oh, wait, USB-C port. Well, that's okay. Let me grab the cable from my iPhone box. Wait, this is a regular USB port. How the hell do I sync my phone with, the ecosystem is falling apart. If you want to
Yeah.
sync your phone to your new MacBook Pro, you need one of these to hook up your cable. If
You
want to
remember-
connect to your network with Ethernet, you need two of these to connect to your
Yeah.
Ethernet.
And
you
God
remember
forbid Apple
back in the
spent
day-
$2 to include it in the damn box.
Yeah.
you
for your
remember
$50
back in the
machine.
day when Apple would provide every adapter you'd ever need for your device.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like for the iPod, you'd get a
Got a box up.
FireWire and a USB
Yeah.
and a dock and
Little
extra
inserts
headphones
and
and
docks
all
and
that
stuff.
stuff.
The ecosystem is not just the software and the way it's all.
Yeah.
It's those kind of things made the ecosystem, and that time is gone. I had
Yeah.
to pay to get one of these little adapters for my phone.
Mhm.
They didn't put it in my box. This is part of the ecosystem, and it's falling apart, and that's a real shame. But I like the OS less and less, but I still like this OS over any other, and I'll stick to that as long as I can. Because the day I have to move to Windows, I'll jump off.
This
that
is
bridge.
probably the reason, one of the biggest reasons why I went to these is because of somebody said it in there about, the port, the headphone jack. But I kind of like my AirPods. Believe it or not, they sound really good.
And that's exactly what Apple wants you to do.
Ex-
You don't need a headphone port. We have Bluetooth headphones you
Yeah.
can buy.
exactly.
Give us your
And-
money.
I still haven't bought any. I bought some knockoffs one that I got scammed over, but got my money back. Thankfully.
Anyway, y'all had your
Yeah.
turn. Be quiet.
Do it.
Dysfunctional Wombat in the chat is saying, very good example, the eyesight, the external eyesight. All the adapters that it came with to make sure that it worked on any kind of screen, on any surface, ecosystem like that is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I stick around for the OS. I have not agreed with the hardware for the last 7 years. Like I said, the pre-Retina MacBook Pro is the last laptop I agreed with. Uh-oh, we're losing Scott.
Oh,
Um, but
Give that
now,
man more candy.
I still don't agree with the MacBook Pros. It's all flat, overheating, throttling garbage.
I agree.
But they're on the right track with the Mac Pro and the iMac Pro. Those are solid. Or the iMac Pro so far. There's a Facebook group.
Although-
for iMac. Stop it, Rudy. Stop. Just let me finish. Christ. The iMac Pro has a dedicated Facebook group. No one ever speaks. Because that Mac is solid. It has proven itself over the last 2.5 years to be a solid product. And if the Mac Pro can do the same, I mean, people are already bitching, it gets dusty inside. It's a Mac Pro. But if that holds up the same as the iMac Pro, the only thing Apple has to fix is their laptop line. Then for the Pro products, they're back where they should be. But, I'll love that at some point in the future when I can own one. Not right now.
The 2019 MacBook Pro, though, is a good step in the right direction.
Why?
Better keyboard, Better keyboard.
I got an
yeah.
argument.
That's
Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
list.
It's a good step.
Well, I mean,
Really?
you start
Really?
looking at
They need to
keyboards.
reinvent the keyboard to not suck in 2019.
I'm still using
That's
this
bad.
keyboard, okay, that Jay provided me with.
Oh,
And
please.
Oh, I love that. God, Steve, don't.
are you using it? Are you using it right now,
oh,
Steve?
The sound.
I can. There's an ADB to USB adapter on my desk.
I'm so jealous of you, Steve. You have a
Yeah.
wonderful keyboard.
I've got 3 of them.
All right, so
Yeah, I got more than that.
all right.
Is it a pissing contest or
so
what?
our last person, and he probably doesn't have really much of a love or a hate. Well, actually, he might because some of the videos he's made. Scott, can you tell us some of your love?
Have you been taking
your
notes,
love
Scott?
hate with Apple.
Well, this is I'll tell you why everybody hates Apple. I think it's because you guys all fell in love with an Apple that could no longer exist in 2020.
Very well put.
Like computers are fine and dandy and all, but like my brother is like a entrepreneur, I'd say. He's self-employed and he uses his iPhone to do everything. You guys fell in love with an Apple that like focused on Mac computers, and every time they release something, like you need to understand, like when Mac OS 9 was released, there was nothing like that in the world. But now there's like 57 different like kernels of Linux that probably look significantly better than even Mac OS Catalina. So you guys all like fell in love with an Apple that wouldn't be like Apple wouldn't exist if they were the Apple that you guys all fell in love with, in my opinion. Or they would exist and just be significantly smaller. But like Apple's biggest focus hasn't been the Mac probably since 2005, 2004.
I will agree with that.
I agree.
So you guys fell in love with this computer and these computers, and it just couldn't exist. Like they couldn't give you a 2012 MacBook Pro in 2020 because nobody wants, I mean, not nobody. Majority of like the average person wants something thin, light that looks really cool that they can be like, hey, this is the new one. It's got the color. It's got the no light up logo. It's 16 inches. So for me, I hate Apple. I guess I don't hate them. I guess I'm frustrated with them at some of the decisions that they've made. But I also can understand everything that they've done for the last 10, 15 years because like the iPhone was, when they released the iPhone, that was the future. And so they've built the company around the iPhone. So if the iPhone was never around, we probably wouldn't have an Apple. Maybe, I mean, because iPods are irrelevant. Nobody has an iPod. I'm sure actually, no, that's not true. I'm sure all you guys have iPods, but nobody actually uses an iPod. So they built.
I have an iPod series.
Yeah, see that exactly. You got the spinning hard drive iPod. But
Exactly. That's my series. I'm all based on.
So like I said, everybody in this has an iPod, but they basically I think became the company that they had to be to make the most money, and I think that rubs people the wrong way a lot of the time because like success, a lot of people get angry at success because it's not the way that they wanted Apple to be successful. Like they wanted Apple to be the Apple that gave you everything and not the Apple that has the best packaging. Like Apple probably couldn't have the sharpest looking packaging if they gave you 57 different dongles. So I guess for me, I don't hate Apple like in any way. I think that they're awesome. I think a lot of the stuff that they make is wonderful. Like they've made Apple Watches that have saved people's lives, and they definitely dive into that with some of their marketing, which I think is unfair. But I guess for me, there's nothing to complain about because it is what it is. Like it's fun to complain, but at the end of the day, you're just screaming into the void. And Apple, they won't listen because it took them 4 years to change a keyboard that had been faulty since the 2016. Like there were people who had complaints about the 2016 keyboard in 2016.
I have a quick question because you said something about Apple and the Apple Watch using that saves people's lives. Why are you against them marketing in that?
No.
I guess I would say that I hate pretty much every type of advertisement. I don't accept sponsors on my channel for that reason. I do have advertisements running on my channel because YouTube allows me to upload for free, and I feel like I sort of owe it back to them because they make money on that.
Off of it. Come on now.
I make money. I mean, Yeah, I also make, my videos take me 10 hours to make, so I'm allowed to make a few bucks, but I try to have the least amount of, I don't have any sponsors, and I think that a lot of advertising is bad. I guess, I mean, that's just the easiest way to say it. So I think that when you start to prey on people's, like, I don't know, it just seems a little sketchy to me that they were like, this could save your life. It's like Life Alert, basically. Like, I don't know. I found that at the keynote this year when they were like, this saved my life. Like, it's really cool and it's great that they've made a product like that. But that product costs $400. It's not like they're just handing these products out for free. So
True.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it is a great product and it probably would help you lose weight and make you healthier. But like, they're selling an idea a lot of the time that most people.
Okay, but
I mean,
here's the thing, though. Fitbit's selling those. Let's see.
Yeah, but
Android
what's the
Watch.
best-
Yeah. Oh, you want to
what's
bet?
the best argument you can make? The best argument is this is gonna save your life. Give us $400. That's
Yeah.
the best advertisement they can make. So of
Oh,
course
yeah, I think
Apple's
it's
gonna
great.
make it. Of course
I mean, I
they're
think
gonna
it's great
make
that it could save
It's
your
so
life.
Apple to make it.
Well, it's not a non-beneficial thing. It's just, I guess to me, it just seems a little predatory. I guess I don't like most advertising. I mean,
I mean, your point is more around advertising in general than specifically that. I mean, everyone is going to market whatever they think is is going to get people interested, is going to get people emotional about it, that sort of thing. So I get what you're saying, but I mean, that's certainly not an Apple specific thing. That's very much more of a broad dig at advertising in general with that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I mean, advertising in our world today, it just sort of seems to be, sort of unavoidable part of life. But yeah, I mean, advertising is sort of fairly, predatory in nature. It's designed to get people at their weakest, to make them buy things that they don't need. That's just how advertising is.
Yeah, and let's face it, Apple wouldn't be making products if they weren't making a profit.
So you want to find out a fun fact, and I will say this from a corporate standpoint. The company I work for will not use Android. We have switched to solely Apple for a reason, because Apple actually, in one market, has gone completely corporate focused with their iDevices. We can manage these, we can control these, we own these, we can do whatever we want with these. Good luck trying that with an Android, and it's easy. So we pay a big sum of money to buy each iPhone, but you know what? We can control it 100%. Try that with an Android.
Yeah.
That's the problem too. Is you're talking about an open source software versus closed source software. It's the same with Microsoft and Linux. You got a closed source system versus an open source. There's arguments on either side, but still the point is that they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I mean, that's just how it goes, and it's up to each individual's personal preference and what they want to run. Like I said, I don't have problems with people.
Keep my iPhone.
I'm keeping my iPhone too. I've had iPhones ever since the 3G. That was my very first iPhone, and I won't switch to Android. As far as the phone.
Let's see, which one was it?
Yeah. So, but
got mine in here somewhere.
So, anyways, guys, we need to move on because we are going to go way late tonight, I think. Okay.
We're going to blame it on the new guy.
So, circling back, Jay actually
millennial,
created the overlay on the go here. So, we're going to go to the Apple 2019. Now, Scott came up with this year as being Apple's best year product-wise, and I will.
No, he posed the question. It wasn't a statement.
I'm going to say no. That's my answer. What is your guys' answer?
Compared to the last few years, I'd say yes.
Okay.
Low benchmark.
That's a low benchmark.
I'm comparing this crumpled up turd to one crumpled
just the
up
last
turd.
few
This
years.
turd looks a little better.
I agree with Steve.
Yeah. What about you there, Jay? Yes or no? You think it was the best product year?
No.
Yeah.
No, from a financial perspective, I'm sure they did fantastic. But from a give the people what they want and need, even though they didn't know they wanted or needed it, I'm going to stick to the early 2000s as their best years. The iPods,
Yeah,
the
but
G4s,
we're trying to say The best. It's their best year in the last few years, at
So
least.
what I want to ask Scott here now is, since he came up with this topic, is why do you think 2019 was Apple's best year?
All right, so I definitely have a slightly different perspective than pretty much everybody else in the chat and
We might
on
be
the
old.
stream. But for me, it was such a great year because of the products that they did release. I guess it goes back to even 2018 when they released the Mac Mini, but I thought that they released two different MacBooks this year, and they released an iMac this year, which it hadn't updated since 2017, and they released, well, I guess last year. But I think 2019 they did an awesome job of everything. I mean, I guess I'm okay buying a newer product from Apple, and I know that you guys all aren't, but I thought they did a great job. I mean, everybody hangs up on Steve Jobs' innovation and all that, grandiose stuff that he did, but like, I mean, he takes a lot of credit for probably a lot of other people what they did, what a lot of brilliant engineers did, and Steve Jobs was sitting there. That Bill
turned
Burr.
that
Okay,
He's eating a
I'm
pear.
going to sit there and say, what company head does not do that? I mean, I'm sorry, but every company.
Oh, you got. I
Bill
mean,
Steve
Bill
Jobs
Gates.
actually is
Okay.
quoting what was it, Picasso, that good art is
No,
copy.
I said great.
Great art.
Stolen.
Yeah,
Good artist
exactly.
copy, great
Yeah,
artist
that's
steal.
that's the quote.
Unless it's Steve Jobs, and then he's getting thrown a,
Well, he did
what
his
bit,
his
and,
fair share of stealing back in the early days. Back when the Mac was first introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that statement was probably in reference to the whole the graphic user interface coming from Xerox PARC. I mean, I think that was the thing, because I mean, he has always said, okay, yeah, he went in and he saw that and it was a fantastic thing, but he said, but they did a whole bunch of things wrong and we made it better.
Yeah, I think that maybe to Scott's point, why he thinks 2019 is a better year for Apple. I think they finally are playing and completing their game of catch up from the past few years.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That's
step in the right direction.
And they're on the bleeding edge again. They haven't been on the bleeding edge. Like, it's Apple. They can flex their muscle until Intel.
I don't know how bleeding.
Let
edge
him
you can
finish.
argue
In terms
there.
of, I guess for me, it would be their mobile computing.
Yeah,
They
I agree
have
with that.
the best ARM. I mean, they have the best iPad. They have the best tablet. Nobody else has a tablet like the iPad. Power-wise, I mean, no, I don't even know of another tablet that's useful in 2020. But I guess, like, they flexed their muscle with Intel and was like, okay, like, we want the 9th gen CPUs. We want to put an 8-core processor in a MacBook Pro, and then they flexed it with AMD and said, we need you to create a 7-nanometer this. That way we could cool this and that. Like, Apple is the biggest company on the planet. They could flex their muscle and get whatever they want from whatever company.
$200
this
billion
year,
sitting in the
felt
bank.
like they did it for the first time since I've been paying attention to Apple. It's like they finally flexed their muscle and said, okay, Intel, provide us with these. We need them to be at this spec and at this price. And then they updated their MacBook Pro twice this year. Like that.
We
when was
don't
the last
care
time
if it
that happened?
throttles like crazy. Just
Yeah, but the thing is, being on the bleeding edge, I admit I am an Intel fanboy. I've always been an Intel guy. But Ryzen is so far out there compared to Intel right now. Apple, to be on the bleeding edge, needs to go with AMD CPUs.
Yes.
But they also would
coming.
have they don't have QuickSync though, and I think that's a big reason. The Final Cut Pro, the reason exports so fast is typically just because of QuickSync and Metal, but I think predominantly
Metal
QuickSync.
is a big piece of it now.
So I think
That's
that
been a
they
piece
could do
since,
whatever
like,
they want.
10,
It's Apple.
13
They
though.
could,
Yeah.
I think I sort of look at 2019 as like almost 2005 Apple, or 2004 Apple, where there were some things they were getting right, and then all of a sudden there was this big Intel transition in 2006. So I have some hope that there might be some good things. I'm not comparing them to that year that they're doing as good as they did that year. They have the best products like they did that year. I'm just seeing similarities. They're let's hope they're on the right track. I guess.
but
that's
why
what
do
I'm
you
trying to say.
give Intel or Apple credit when it was Intel CPUs. Like people do that all the time.
No,
we
I
complained
don't
about
think.
we complained about the 2017 MacBook Pros only having quad-core processors, but Intel only had quad-core processors.
Yeah,
Everyone's to blame. Like a 6-core processors out of MacBook Pro is wonderful, but it's because Intel developed the technology, not because Apple did it and was
Of course,
courageous.
yeah.
But I don't know. I always find that funny how Apple gets credit when Intel does something great.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I
the
think
flip side to that is, remember the MacBook Pros with the GPU issues. Everyone blames Apple for that, but it wasn't their GPU.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that was
true.
AMD.
But it's Apple that handled it very poorly.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
we know.
that's-
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, they do that.
I
Everybody
definitely give
forgets
them
that
credit for their craft
NVIDIA
service.
made a better one.
But
Yeah,
I
true.
think it's too soon to tell.
Rocky, no.
What?
NVIDIA had the
Rocky's going down
same
his path again.
issue, and then they fixed it, and they released a
They
revised.
did fix it.
Unlike AMD.
AMD never did.
Yep.
Team Green for the win.
I think-
See, as you can
Oh,
tell,
God.
Rocky's an NVIDIA fanboy.
Yes.
Well, I am too, but I'm kind of stuck with AMD now.
Well, yeah, if you're
So
a Mac user, you gotta have
enjoy the rest of your life on High Sierra. We'll see you later. But I think it's too soon to tell. From at a glance, they introduced some nice products. They have been making up for their mistakes that they could have made up for years ago, but it was just pride and saving face that they didn't want to immediately trash the Trash Can Pro. You know, they dragged it out. And anyway, I think it's too soon to tell to see if 2019 is going to be their best year. At this particular time, January 30th, 2020, I don't think it is. They've had better years hardware-wise, but
Especially since the Pro just came out. So
yeah. We don't
But
know how that
unless
thing's going to
they
be.
make a Pro that is less reliable than the Trash Can, I don't think they can actually
Yeah.
make a Pro that is worse.
the trash can.
Remember
looks
the
good.
guy?
But somebody in the comments
Sure,
said,
if you like a
somebody in the comments
Honeywell,
said-
Well, remember
know,
the guy that helped design that trash can still works at Apple.
it looks good. I like that. I like
what
that.
were you saying,
picture.
Scott?
So it's not. So somebody in the comments said it's not innovation, it's evolution, which
Yeah, that
is
was me.
fair. Okay, so if I know, I'm just reading. If you look at the iPod, would you not say that the iPhone was just an evolution of the iPod?
No.
no,
Oh, no, I would.
because the iPhone, the iPhone turned into the iPod Touch, so the iPhone was not an evolution of it.
No, but
in my opinion.
it was a small device in the same form factor that was able to obviously introduce the touch interface, but it wasn't a drastic leap to go from iPod to iPhone. I've heard news
It's not
reports
a big
where
leap. It's not a giant evolution or a smooth evolution. It skipped a few steps, perhaps, but it's still not.
Okay, here's the
Well, for me, the iPhone, the big thing is browsing the web. That is, for me, the biggest thing with it. That's the biggest feature. And the way Apple made browsing the web functional on a phone, I think, was
Yes.
innovation.
and
not
and
evolution.
here's the thing.
Yeah, the software
Here's the
was
thing,
the
though,
innovation.
is you look at the iPod. Okay, there's not many people out there that actually made competing products. I mean, yes, Microsoft tried with the Zune and failed. Creative
HP did.
Long time
Creative
afterwards,
did, but they didn't
still.
really have a functional. I mean, there's a lot of products that tried.
They were really around
Yeah,
before it, though.
But still, Apple made it better. Okay, now
They did.
then when the iPhone came out, okay, the iPhone revolutionized everything. I'm sorry, but even the Android at the time, they had to do a complete 180 because
There wasn't an Android.
there
at
was
the
there
time.
was
What are you talking
Android
about?
being developed. Okay, they were developing it for a non-touch interface. Okay, and
Were you talking about
no.
Yeah.
There
No,
was
it was
Android.
Android.
It was called Droid.
It just didn't
it
really
was
exist
Droid,
yet.
yeah,
Really?
it didn't exist. It was still
Okay.
in development. But the story goes is that they had to do a 180-degree turn because when the iPhone was announced, they saw that the writing on the wall that what they were working on was going to be obsolete before they even came out with it.
I think where we could all sort of agree to give Apple at least some credit on is they do a pretty good job of taking something and doing something with it that many other companies may have failed to do. So yes, anyone could have made a touchscreen phone. BlackBerry had a Curve or the Touch, whatever the heck it was, and yeah, it was decent. But Apple did their own version of it. They made it, with expensive parts in there. They made the processor good. They built a brand new OS for it. And that was the way they did that. And they were successful because of it. And they did the same thing with the iPod. So this whole innovation thing, yeah, okay, it's cool that you do this. It's cool that you do that. But I think that, we all agree that Apple has to do some catching up in some areas. And I would much rather them
They
do
need
what they're doing with
Xerox
the
to
Mac.
steal
Yeah.
from again.
I would
The
much
thing is,
rather.
they are not innovating, and they don't have anyone there to fuel that innovation. They're just hoping to release the next gimmick that's going to become so popular that's going to be seen as
Yes.
innovation. I can tell you for damn sure it's not going to be the touch bar. It's not going to be the stupid notch on my screen. It's not going to be anything they released in 2019 or the years before that. So, I don't know. Maybe it's yet to happen.
I
but
honestly don't mind the notch.
I've gotten
hate the
used to
notch.
it.
like half
It's
the fruit is
iconic.
missing right now. because of
I've
this notch.
never really minded it,
Well,
honestly.
put it this way: none of you are missing because I'm watching this on a Mac. So there is no notch on my Mac. So
I've never had a notch phone, so I can't
So-
say.
but
So I think this leads directly into our
yes.
next topic,
Well, should I go into that or
Greg, about innovation.
what?
I think we sort of caught
Yeah,
it.
we switched
Yes,
them around, didn't we?
We did the.
Yep.
No, we're not
Yeah,
doing
we-
topic 6 though, right? We're gonna be here till
Yeah,
midnight.
we're not
Yeah.
doing the next topic. We're
Yeah.
moving on to news and rumors.
Wait, are we
yes.
not? Okay, so we're not doing 5 and 6 then. Okay.
We
We did
five.
5. We did 5
Okay.
before 4.
Never mind.
I
I'm
think-
looking.
I think Greg
No,
might have
No, I'm
different
looking at
numbers.
different numbers because of what Jay put on the overlays.
Oh yeah, blame it
Put
on.
'em
Blame
in
Jay.
I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's courage right there.
He's an innovator.
Because he has number 6 is the okay. Well, should we go on that? Well, actually, we do need to talk about that one again. So
Oh god.
no. This
Jeez.
one is one we need to talk about because it's the end of it, and it's the Power PC Challenge.
Where is that on the list?
Yeah.
That was
That's
last
right. I
week.
did make an overlay for that one. but it's not
Exactly. See.
Oh yeah, we extended it. I forgot that.
All right.
No, it's very quick. The Power PC Challenge, we extended it for a week. I have not touched my G4 a single
I
minute
totally
in this
forgot
last week.
about it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
screwed
Hey,
that.
Nobody. I know there's a few people in Discord, especially the guy from Romania. He's been killing it. He's even been doing a live.
I've been
stream
seeing
for
his notes or
G4.
his alerts
It's
pop
crazy.
up all the time.
Yeah, but I sadly haven't had time. There were some other pressing matters, but I haven't had any more emails from people with reports in it. I know a few people were doing it just for their own fun, but I am leaving my G4 around because I have a pretty big project coming up that I want to use.
Plus,
it for.
we need to get a good game
But,
of UT 99 going one of these days.
Dude, the last 2 weeks we haven't even played a game of UT. Everybody's
Yeah.
been busy.
Yeah.
yeah, me and Jay played.
No,
and then
that's
Jay
right.
went to
And
Tinker
Scott, you know what
Settings.
UT is, right?
Yeah.
Because you're young.
I have no idea.
Unreal
you're-
Tournament.
Ah,
No, I don't play any games.
Oh
You could
my
have teased
God.
him. You
Yep.
could have teased him with
Who
something different.
vetted
You're
this
like
dude?
you're like me, Scott. I don't either. I had no idea what they were talking about when I was.
but you have played though, Bruce. See,
I have played one time, and you killed
Thanks,
me.
Scott, you're welcome
killed
to
me a
play
lot.
with us sometime.
Essentially, we as Mac users, any games we could get our hands on was like a game, and so
Like
when
pinball.
when Unreal Tournament came out, and it was also on the a popular PC game, it just happened to be a lot of us gravitated towards that, and that was around the time where Apple's G3 and G4 systems were out. So a lot of us were introduced to fast systems and playing this game, and so we were kind of obsessed
Yes.
with it.
Yeah.
On my Windows computer, I could play any game.
Yeah,
no.
Starbuck has a very good point. Although I have rants of my own about these damn chairs.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
But,
these
so-
chairs.
you have a gaming chair. But you have a
Exactly. I
game.
was going to say that
What's up
too.
with that?
Let's not point fingers here. My fiance bought it for me as a surprise, and it's got great lumbar support because I have terrible posture, and my other chair like was falling apart that I got for free
Blaming
from.
your fiance
Yeah.
a few weeks before the wedding
You
is not
cannot-
a smart idea.
He married up. What the heck? I feel robbed, man.
Well, it was cheap. I mean, relatively cheap compared to the other chairs. I think it was like $80 on Amazon, and we had like a $60 gift card, so it was like $20.
$80? Hold on, give me the
Wow.
link.
I think
Greg-
it was like,
Greg
maybe it was
spent
like
20
100.
times.
But mine? No, mine actually wasn't more than that. Mine's like 130, I think it was.
I
So
had
it wasn't
checked.
bad.
But
So
yeah, I mean,
think
I look like
the
a
solution
gamer,
is
though,
simple,
right?
Scott. You have to start playing games now to
To justify the chair, yeah.
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 I have an unopened box of RGB
Oh,
lights.
no,
too,
see,
that I
that's
Oh my
That
god.
That completes the checkbox of YouTube. Chair, lights.
Oh, wait. Isn't like an MX
there we go.
mouse
See that
with
he's got a
two
gaming
axes, like,
mouse.
it's-
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
oh, and I got a
absolutely.
gaming keyboard too. I got that for free.
Oh,
though.
does it click? One of those click.
Yeah,
And
it's got the clicks.
and
like,
he's
it's
got the gaming headset already too. So
know what a
Anyway,
is
the
until he
Power
pulls
PC
it out.
challenge is over.
Evidence. is
We
stacking
hope
up.
to see you again next year. Whatever reports I still gather in the next few days will go on the website. And that is it.
all right,
Moving on.
news and announcements. All right, so first thing,
Welcome
Yeah.
to the Grudy
well,
Show.
first thing we got is
Well, we didn't have a lot of news. to
Bruce hit 400 subs.
Yay.
cover. Yay, Bruce.
Thank you. That just happened this
Ah.
morning, actually. So yeah, I was
There
quite
we
pleased
go.
about that. It's definitely growing. So and plenty of thanks actually to this group. I get lots and lots of promotions every time anyone goes on a live stream or during the Macac show. So I do appreciate
See,
that from
that's
everybody.
the reason why he really
Yes,
wanted to be
yes.
on a crew. That, yeah. Well,
Well, considering you guys found me from one of my YouTube videos,
and
I
he's going to
mean,
probably pass us up in subs pretty soon because we're only at 644. So, yeah.
Yeah, we can't let that happen. We got-
So, all right. Next bit of news is Grudy made 2 FireWire SSDs. Why is that news?
It's not.
It's great news.
Why is that even in here?
Like he found out yesterday that you could daisy train FireWire drive.
Let me introduce you to a concept called SCSI. Do you know how to spell that?
Yeah, but these things I can boot any Mac with FireWire on it really
And?
fast because it's got SSDs in it.
But you
It's so neat.
had to daisy chain them, though?
Okay, it's cool.
No,
but-
it's
Did you
just-
write
that's how I
on the
store 'em.
actual hard drives what's on
Yeah,
the
we're just-
partitions?
Yeah, that's how I store them. Still,
Did you watch the
And
video?
I don't see how this other one relates to Macac as news.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
I think it's
Let me
pretty
pull out an
neat.
issue of Mac Addict from like 2003, Grudy, and let me show you what daisy chaining is.
Oh, you're funny. You're funny.
Yeah,
I
the
knew
guy
about
that-
daisy chaining.
Receive my Macworld
Well,
magazines.
Okay,
Send them
here's the thing, though. And Grudy was talking about this to us in the chat or in our iMessage. Basically, I guess Grudy doesn't understand what wattage does and how it works. So he thinks,
I don't know how
yeah,
much wattage
he
is in a
thinks that
FireWire
just
port.
because an iPod
You
comes with a
asked-
12-watt charger that it draws 12 watts. No, it does not.
No.
So,
But,
Yeah.
but I'm very happy for you that you got this hard drive, buddy.
Yeah, it's really cool. I agree with that.
And the other bit of news, GT,
go for it. You say it, because
I rescued an 8-month-old husky.
Aww.
Just call her
Isn't
into
she
the room.
cute?
Call her in, dude.
Oh, we already have enough.
She's
we already have enough
upstairs.
dogs barking in his videos.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I rescued an 8-month-old husky. She's had a rough life up to this point, but she's in pretty good health. So
When you
And
guys
now
start
it's your turn to
sponsoring,
have a
like,
rough life.
humane society?
Yeah.
How long were you standing outside last night?
30 minutes in
Yeah.
32-degree weather.
Yeah.
Why the heck were you standing out there for 32
Because she
minutes?
would not go
That's
to the
why
bathroom.
you actually, instead of
Oh,
standing,
oh.
you actually have to walk the dog. Do you realize that?
Oh, I was walking. I walked my entire yard about 20 times.
Welcome
Jeez.
to Dog
Yeah.
Yak.
Yeah.
All
there
right,
you go.
guys. So next topic up on the list is Steve's archive adventure. So go take it away,
Dana.
there, Steve.
Well, let me bring out my dog. No, wait, I don't have a dog.
He has rabbits.
So
Funny.
yes, let me grab the. So I'm gonna paste a link into the chat. Greg, do you have that overlay?
Yes, I do. Somewhere's up on here. There it is.
So
19.
yeah, so I got a boxed Quadra 610 machine a while back, and I still have to recap it. In fact, that's probably the next machine I'm going to do. But inside of this machine was this lovely little flyer, and Greg's going to put that up
It's
on the
already
screen. And okay, great. So this flyer is I thought was very interesting. So this was inside of the machine. This is dated September 1993. The machine that I had was a Quadra 610, so not a PowerPC machine. And the whole point of this pamphlet is telling you that your machine is ready for a PowerPC upgrade, and it's going over some of the key points about upgrading to a PowerPC, why you should upgrade to a PowerPC, all this stuff that I just think is a delicious little time capsule piece here. So I scanned it in. This did come a little bit folded in the box inside of the styrofoam and such, so it is a little beat up there. So I did scan it in. It's on the Internet Archive. I pasted the link in the chat there. I encourage anybody who's interested in these older type of machines to look at this, because it talks about the first half of 1994 and how Apple's going to be releasing these PowerPC Macintoshes, and how, you know, you could still find your old, you know, software and still use it and you won't have a problem, but PowerPC's better and you should buy an upgrade card from us. So
I mean, I recall the original 601 card that went into that computer, the performance is very underwhelming.
yeah, that's why I find this so funny. It's like,
Now
yeah,
I'm
you
curious.
just paid $1,500 for this machine. Here's a pamphlet because you're going to want to upgrade, and then you're just going to want to buy a new computer.
But no, I'm curious. Okay, you say 610 Quadra, but wasn't the 610 Centris the PowerPC version of
the
it?
6100.
And what's the body
No.
look like?
No,
Oh, okay.
It looks like
It looks
it's
the same.
same case. Yeah,
Same big
case.
pizza box.
It's
very
that
easy
it's
to
that
get
large
messed
pizza
up.
box.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
large.
The ones that
Scott's
came with
just
that
got this
first.
really confused look on his face.
Like, are we ordering pizza? I want some pizza.
But
Yeah,
you're talking about the one that had the optional DOS card in it, the 46
Exactly.
card, right?
That's right.
Oh yeah, I love that box.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting piece. Just scanned it in on the Internet Archive, both sides. Take a look.
Cool.
It's
Cool.
it says it's number. It says it's a PowerPC fact sheet number 1. Maybe there's others out there. I have no idea. So if anybody comes across them, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, if they come across number 2, Steve owns number 1, and he is now the owner of the original first. Everybody pay him largely.
Yes.
Sure.
All right, guys. So now we're going to go into our last topic, or whatever you want to call it tonight. Shameless self-promotion. So we're going to. Anybody got anything they want to throw out there that they're doing, or?
I think we should just give this one to Scott. Everybody
Yeah.
knows what we're
So-
up to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh, boy.
agree, Jay.
Any projects or videos in the?
I have been working on a video for like a week and a half now that I'm very, very excited about. And it's called Why a New iPhone is Released Every Year. And it should be closer to like a documentary style video where I basically go into maybe a little bit more in depth, like the e-waste problem that Apple sort of propagates when they release a new phone every year, and the consumer debt problem that I obviously am interested in. Or
But
not
they have a
interested in,
robot
interested in
that
getting rid of.
disassembles them now.
Yeah, you don't like Liam?
One robot for a few phones
Yeah.
a day. So I guess that's probably what I'm doing right now. That's the most interesting thing to me. I don't know. I guess I just try to make good videos that people like and that I like. And if I don't like them, I don't normally post them. So that's probably the most exciting thing that I'm doing. And I'm getting married, obviously.
Yeah,
Everyone's gonna say
congratulations.
no.
You didn't mention that first. You're gonna hear about that
Yeah.
later.
It's like you mentioned your videos before me. Uh-oh. No more gaming chair for you.
Rookie mistake.
That does actually remind me. I do need to say something.
Of course you do.
Shocker.
Well, since I've hit 6,000 subscribers, the giveaway is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. live.
What are you giving away?
A MacBook.
Okay, just because maybe people don't know.
Yeah,
Black,
I'm
white,
giving away
color.
an early 2008 MacBook,
Okay.
and it's kind of a Mac Yak giveaway on my channel.
Yeah, because the battery
Plastic.
is the Mac portion.
Is
Yeah.
this going to be a live thing or a premiere?
Yeah, it's
thing?
going to be live.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be live at 8 p.m. So I
Well,
usually start around
unfortunately, I will be at
7:55.
work, so sorry.
But we weren't done with Scott yet, dude.
Yeah.
I know,
We
right?
weren't
I
done
know.
yet.
But that's Grudy,
No.
though.
Jay beat me to it.
Well,
So
forget-
apart from your YouTube channel, Scott, is there a website or a Patreon or a blog or anything?
I technically have a Patreon, but I don't suggest anybody signs up for it. There's no value there. I don't know. I have a website, but I haven't been using that. I just make videos.
So
I guess.
no. Okay.
No, I would say that if I were to leave a piece of advice, I would suggest everybody reads a book, and it's by Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover. That I really love that book, and I think that it would help a lot of people in the world. Maybe
Can you,
manage their money.
what's
Is that a book
about
they
then?
sell on Amazon or something?
Yeah, it's so Dave Ramsey's like a money guy. He goes a little too in depth to money sometimes, but he's basically like trying to teach people. Sort of, I guess I pretty much just echo what he says, but I just talk about tech. But he's more of like a budget, save your money, don't buy stupid things, invest long term. So I would say that if anybody were to take anything away from me, I just want people to, I guess ultimately I just want people to watch my videos and maybe have a better life because of it. Not that like I'm so smart and so much better because I know how it works. I just want somebody to leave my video thinking, hey, maybe I could do something like that too. If that dumb idiot can do it, then I could as well.
You're
we
saying
already do after the lighting
Yeah.
video. We're like
There you go.
by hanging shirts over our lights. And, you know, the wife is like, "Where's my robe? I'm using it now."
drive an old car. No, computer too.
After the show, if you can give us a link on iMessage, then we put it in the show notes later on.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm
Okay, so-
I'm a big supporter of him. So I would, yeah, I don't know. I just want people to live. I think that a lot of people live day to day, not really in control of their life. They just sort of have it happen to them. Because I know that it was happening to me after I graduated college. I was like, oh, I got to get a new car, and then I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to get a credit card. And then like I look back and I'm like, I made so many dumb mistakes just because I had a credit card with 0% interest rate. Like
Yeah.
I just want people to not make the same mistakes I did. So that's why I try to make videos. And I just want people to enjoy the videos too.
Good. That's the
It's
way
not
you should
bad.
make it.
not
Yep.
bad.
Absolutely.
I try
I
not to
mean,
come off too
Steve's a
snobby,
great
though.
example of how to make a video. Look at Steve trying to look at. Oh, like, hey, make a video that you want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
I
take you
agree
2
with that.
years,
Yep.
but you'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to say it myself because I knew that was coming.
Well, if you had like a more powerful gaming computer like that runs Windows, maybe you could get it done
Oh.
faster.
We will be disconnecting Scott right
I'm gonna
now.
get kicked out.
If I didn't have a full-time job and I had more time to work on this crap, that would not be a problem.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Let me link all my PowerPC Macs together, then we'll do a speed test. How
There
about
you
that?
Cluster.
go. Oh, dude, I wanna
Yeah.
see that.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. We have gone way over time here, and I figured we would, but
Hey, it's Super Bowl.
Still not our longest.
it's still not our
video.
longest. But it could have been.
It could
By the
have been.
time you quit arguing about what's the
We gotta
longest
go
video, we will be
All right, so guys, if you want to, you could join our Discord. I put the link up there. You guys can come in and join us, check us out. Make sure that if you have never been to our Discord before, you're going to see one channel and one channel only. You must read everything and you must comply with what you read in order for you to get more access. Okay, so that's just how we keep track of, keep the riffraff, I guess you might want to say, out of our server.
Which thing, Jay, by the way, he made that and he did a very
Yep.
amazing job at doing
So make sure you go check that out.
it.
Make sure you like this video if you can, or dislike it if you think we're all screwed up. I mean, doesn't matter to me. Thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to, go ahead and hit that bell icon. Make sure you click on all notifications. We only come on live once a week, so you're not going to get inundated with a bunch of alerts. You're only going to get one a week. Just one a week is all you're going to get from us. So don't think that, by hitting that notify on all, you're going to get a bunch of stuff. No. We don't send out anything like that. We also don't put out a lot of spam or anything like that. We basically advertise about an hour before the show, and that's about it. So, guys, appreciate all the support, and we will probably see you guys later and see you guys next week. So, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.